A big thank you to ACB MMA. They are putting on a massive event in Sheffield on the 22nd of July, including former UFC fighter Thiago Silva is going to be there. The light heavyweight title is going to be on the line, and tickets are just £20 each. I'm going to put the link in the description below. If you want to go there, use that link. And a big thanks to ACB once again for getting Frank Mir on the True Geordie Podcast. Right, big moment for me, mate. A former UFC heavyweight fucking champion is on my podcast.
Especially at this point, we're getting to a big point in the podcast where we're at 50.
Yeah, we'll come to 50, mate.
It's a great way to mark it.
Big way to do it. Yeah. Frank Mir, mate, thanks very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's been great so far. I like it. Yeah, the car ride was good.
Yeah, we had a good laugh, mate. I mean, was a bit squeezed in the back with two sort of gorillas.
But I like that you understand me because you're a big guy. You're actually bigger than I am. So when you called up a car, he calls up a minivan.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I have this argument with people, like, for example, travel. People, we'll just book you an economy ticket. I'm all, look, man, I'm not being a fucking prima donna.
Don't they think you're being a snob, though?
Right. They'll think,
first class.
I one time had a guy from the UFC go, you want to sit business class? I don't sit business class. And he was like a vice president. I'm all, asshole. You're 5'10" and fucking you should only weigh 180 pounds, but your shoulders are still this big. Yeah. Put me in the back, and I'm like, sorry, you know. I mean, I'm on top of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I appreciated that big minivan came.
We instantly, I was like, fucking hate travelling, do you? He's like, fucking hate it. Yeah. It's horrible.
It's not built for a big man.
We sort of connected on that.
See, I get Ubers everywhere, so like that's good for me. But if we get in the back of an Uber, the Uber driver looks like, normally just, you know, you get in the back of the car, you don't really make eye contact with him. When he gets in, the car goes. So the Uber driver goes, the hell is this? And he looks in the back, and Brian's just
I've got a little pet hate when I get in the back of an Uber as well. If the seat in the passenger side is pulled really far back and I can't get my legs in, I get annoyed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, fucking hell, mate. Do us a favour. But yeah, mate. 15 years you've been in the UFC.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that. Not many people can say that they were like literally top 5 in that division the whole fucking time, pretty much. You were always one fight away from fighting for the title, if not fighting for the title. Do you know what I mean? You're an elite level fighter. But you were a part of the UFC before the Conor McGregor era, where everyone now seems to think it's all about money and the showman, and it wasn't like that when you got in. It was called human cockfighting. It was a fucking blood sport. Everyone else, you were in it when it was like feared. Like, what the hell made you think I'll do this?
Well, I always liked martial arts. I liked fighting and like competing, and it was a way for me to go out there and compete against other guys that knew how to fight. I didn't have to worry about anybody who wanted to follow me out to my car afterwards and try to shoot me because you agree to it. And so when I first had my first professional fight in the 2001 with the UFC, I never thought I'd make a living at it. In fact, I was still working as a bouncer, or just started working as a bouncer at the Spearmint Rhino. I kept that job all the way up until I fought Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Because
fucking hell.
Because we never made enough money of being a fighter for me to support a family and kids.
Is it true that the UFC sort of frown on people admitting that? Because they say that the UFC have sort of asked people to not, like, I know Shane Carwin was a mechanic, and they sort of try to pay money to quit his jobs because they didn't want it to be known that some fighters were still having to do regular jobs while fighting. Or?
Interesting.
Well, to me, it's silly to try to think that, because very few fighters can make a living just off of fighting. I mean, if you think about it, you have a fighter who makes $15,000 a fight. That seems like good money. Taxes, training partners, to the camp. By the time you pay your manager, you typically get half of what you're making, and so $7,000. Well, if you fight 3 times a year, that's good for a guy who may be 19 years old and lives in an apartment to make, $20,000 a year. But a guy who wants to be married and have children, there's no way. Mm-hmm. You can't. And that's why actually you're starting to see a lot less jiu-jitsu guys go into fighting. And actually Robert Dreiser, one of the guys I train with, he brought it up. I was like, why? Why don't we see more jiu-jitsu guys going into it? He goes, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you win mundials, you have a gold medal. He goes, okay, now you can go on and do seminars. You make a couple $1,000s. Let's say you only make $2,500 a week doing seminars, private lessons, training, travel around. You can make almost $10,000 a month. That's a $120,000 a year job. how are you ever going to say, hey, give up 3 or 4 months a year of seminars, cut your pay in half, and then we'll pay you, 4 and 4, go fight your first fight, even 6 and 6.
Well, and another thing was, like, back in the day, they had sponsorship opportunities in the UFC where you could have, I don't know, Bad Boy might sponsor your shorts and things like that. You'd make money off that. They've literally killed that now for a lot of fighters through this Reebok deal that they've introduced, where it's compulsory that everyone in the UFC wears Reebok. So Reebok are then going to give the lion's share to the UFC, and it's up to them what they give the fighters, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's profitable to the UFC. It's profitable to the, Reebok. If it's not, they're dumb businessmen because it's on them. They did it. Yeah. So I'm hoping they're making a profit off it, or we're all just getting screwed. Because all the fighters, we all took pay cuts. Most people don't want to say. It's funny. They're like, well, only the week of the fight and into the fight do you have to, wear Reebok. Well, me, as I was growing up fighting, you had a lot of people that would sponsor you monthly, and that would help pay your bills and carry you over and take care of things. But then for the payoff, they got to put a patch on your shorts or on your banner the night of the fight. Well, then Reebok killed that. It's like, well, hey, they can still sponsor you. It's like, why would they?
Why would they?
Who are they reaching out to? Yeah. Just my social media? They wanted to reach out to people on the platform the UFC was providing. So it really did put a nail in the coffin. And I think you're going to see a lot of the fighters really starting to, degrade.
Or maybe go to places where they are allowed sponsors, like Bellator, I guess.
Yeah, ACB, Risen, you name it, World Series of Fighting. There'll be other organizations that don't hinder and hamstring the guys. So when it's hard, I mean, to tell a young guy that he has to give up $1,000 to $2,000 a month sponsor.
That's massive money.
But
a regular guy.
Yeah, and then now he's going to have to wear the Reebok shorts. His first fight is going to make $2,500.
Yeah,
to wear the shorts. It's like, that's rough.
Yeah, and you sort of wonder why they did it. Like, why go down that route of locking all those people out?
I don't know. I mean, I think that in hindsight, that when they were preparing, they didn't sell the UFC in 3 days. Mm-hmm. When they were preparing to want to sell it, I think that packaging it up made sense.
Yeah.
And then also, too, it just showed more revenue on their part. So when they had the UFC, what's the word I'm looking for? Not audited, but valued.
Valued through,
yeah. They say, okay, how much is it worth? Well, then the Reebok contract
adds value.
Of so many millions of dollars. Like, okay, well, we have that revenue coming in.
Huge. Yeah.
It's like a football club having a sponsorship with, like Real Madrid and Adidas or something like that. Like, it just adds value straight away.
Yeah. But then Real Madrid have got that. Real Madrid compete in La Liga. They can get sponsored by anyone. Then the league is sponsored by someone, and Real Madrid is sponsored by someone else.
Well, that's the difference with football players. You can have a boot sponsor who's totally different. You're allowed to wear like Nike boots if you're the stripper sponsored by Adidas, whereas these UFC fighters are just being completely fucked.
I do think that's part of it as well, though, is in football you tend to find that the brands will all work directly with the players. So, like Messi's got his own boots, but he's a head of a brand. All the other players get personally fitted boots, they work with the brand, they give feedback on the boots and those sort of things. It's the kind of thing you don't see. So I just wonder if all those brands have realised, look, we're going to have to do this because players are angry otherwise that they just get a generic pair of boots. Surely it would be good if Reebok went down the same route and sort of said, we'll find a way of fitting, whatever to you. Work with the fighters.
Well,
what I'm saying.
They have a few, they'll invite a couple fighters up there to give ideas, but it's still broadly a distributor. It isn't just every fighter gets to particularly pick out how he wants his shorts and or T-shirt or his outfit. And the other part that actually confuses me, I don't see how Reebok makes money off of it. Have you guys seen anybody walking around with the Reebok shirt?
I've never seen anyone.
I actually bought a pair of Reebok trainers not long ago. I've got to say, they're the best trainers I've bought in a while.
Not the MMA branded, like sort of the McGregor or Ronda Rousey or the stuff that they're trying to sell. People would rather buy a regular McGregor T-shirt, like he would say, like his own T-shirt, rather than a Reebok one, because
I think to be honest, in the UK, there's also going to be only a certain kind of people that are going to wear that sort of thing, because UFC's still not quite penetrated the mainstream yet.
Same way.
Yeah, exactly. It's still seen as it's almost seen as like a sort of a rough guys.
Remember a couple of years ago when Tap Out was everywhere? Or Affliction. Reebok haven't done that with the MMA crowd at all. They haven't crossed over. So. What are they getting?
I've seen Affliction shirts since I've been here. walking down the street.
Yeah, but I'm not sure they want to break into that area. I think they're happy to have like a premium brand where they make margin on some things, where they're selling to middle class guys who are trying to get fit in what's that, CrossFit, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're happy trying to sell to those guys, and this just makes it look like, one day I can look like you. Do you know what I mean? Because if you train enough and you're rough and you're tough, then you can get there.
One thing that sort of surprised me when I hear about the communication between company and fighter in the UFC is how little communication there can be at times. Like there was a woman fighter who just got a title stripped from her, Jermaine Durandame, I think her name is. She found out on Twitter. Like they didn't ring her, or I think the same thing happened to Conor McGregor when he lost the featherweight title. Like, what is it like being a fighter in the UFC, working with the company? Like, is it frustrating? Do you feel like they could do more in that respect?
Well, I guess they could, but as of right now, they kind of, I think, have the mindset that, what are you going to do? I think that's going to change because, people are talking Bellator a lot more. Yeah. There's other shows like the ACB that are coming up that are sitting there going, well, there's a fighter right now, I think Dean Garnett, that was going to, that had an opportunity possibly to go from ACB to the UFC for a 4-fight deal. He looked at the contract, what they had to offer him, and decided it was more lucrative and better for him to stay with the ACB. You're going to start hearing those stories occurring more and more often.
Well, because they had the monopoly for years and years. It sort of reminds us a bit like the old wrestling days with the WW.
That's what they had. And then WCW.
Once WCW came along and provided an alternative, or the people are jumping ship left, right and centre. And I do think we're probably going to see a lot more of that.
Which makes
Rory
business.
McDonald and people like that going.
And it's good business. Anytime you dominate the business field, why do you have to make adjustments? Why do you have to...
I guess morally, right? Like that's
You know a lot of moral businessmen.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like that's why some people would that's the argument people put forward, right? Like they want to make their own industry better. Like certain sports companies, they still rely on, like Adidas rely on the idea they were set up by Adi Dassler, and so they run it as they want to be good for the athletes. Now you could say that's marketing or whatever. It probably is, and they've afforded themselves that space because they were ahead of everyone else. But they say like they want to forward sports. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So and you can make that. And it's proven you can make money off selling yourself like that.
Yeah,
but
true.
Maybe
but I think the biggest thing for a customer is competition.
Yeah.
If somebody has the only product in town, they don't have to really listen to what you have to say about it.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? They make the fighters compete, but they don't want Reebok want zero competition amongst themselves. That's weird. Right. Does it matter to you what you wear into the ring?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own personality that I would like to express. And I think that's the fans, even if they don't get upset with the fact that we have to we take pay cuts, just the individuality of the sport has been killed.
Yeah.
Everybody dresses exactly the same. So guys have very little choice between loose fitting shorts or tight shorts. It's about as much of a choice as you get. Where in the past, people you could see their personalities through how they dressed into the cage.
Does it matter to you though? I mean, do you think it's a particularly important thing?
Yeah, I just like anything else. When you go to the gym, if I dressed you up in a way you didn't want to be dressed,
yeah,
you don't feel the same way when you're working out. Like it makes a slight difference. If you get to pick what you want to wear and how you want to, what shoes you. I mean, when you go buy a pair of trainers. Picking the trainers, I mean, you're not just purely picking them with your eyes closed going, okay, these feel right. You look at them, you see how they look on you. That feel-good feeling attributes to more success.
Yeah, that's actually a really good YouTube video idea, buying things just from feeling them.
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea. So write that down.
So you got in, I think, am I right in thinking, you got into martial arts through your dad?
Yeah.
He was in a lot of your fights, wasn't he? Was that the father and son bond a big part of martial arts for you?
Well, I think I got into martial arts because I think a lot of boys try to emulate their father, and then he was a fan of martial arts, so I'd ask questions, movies I'd looked at, and he guided me that way, and so then eventually though it became my own thing that that now I share with my children. Did you have any moments as a teenager while you were growing up? Because obviously you would have been one of the biggest guys your age where you had that sort of Karate Kid Daniel LaRusso moment where someone tried it on and you were like, oh, I know karate, motherfucker. Did you have a few of those moments? everybody knew I knew how to do stuff, playing around with my friends and stuff, and there had been a few fights. But I think finally when the school, this was my junior year of high school, I got into a fight real bad. We were playing American football, playing around after school, and some older guys out of high school, by many years, they had came over to play, and they were just being dicks. And one of the guys I ran, we were playing tackle. Then I was on the ground, and then as I went to get up, the guy hit me again. Knocked me down. So I got right up and just kicked him in the face and just started fighting. He went down easily. Then his buddy kind of squared up on me, and he was still in a stance, and then I kicked the shit out of him too. And then so afterwards, when you're 16 years old and you beat the shit out of a 20-year-old, and two of them at the same time, it became like a big deal.
It gets around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've always been a big guy though?
Yeah, always been big, which actually I think helped me be coordinated. I never grew any more in height after my freshman year of high school.
How old would that have been? Sorry,
13 years old.
Oh, right. So you were like 6'3",
6'2.5".
Yeah. Wow.
And
That's a
always
massive 13-year-old.
You don't have the same muscle mass when you're 13, though, do you?
No, I was like 210 pounds.
Wow.
And then but on me for some reason looked very skinny. And then by the time I was a senior in high school, I weighed 250.
Is that a family thing? Like, is that?
No.
If you look at your dad, is it the same?
My dad and I look the same. He's just a smaller version.
Right. Okay.
Bit like me and my dad then.
But that's what I do find funny, and that's something that a lot of people don't really acknowledge. There's certain parts of America where people, they seem to grow up bigger. Like everyone says people from Texas are just bigger people. Do you know what I mean?
It's food.
Milk. Is it the food and where you grow up?
I think so.
Yeah. It's basically what cow they feed you, isn't it?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All the hormones, right?
Yeah. Basically, you're a bad motherfucker because of the cows.
We're all drug-free technically, but the steroids in the cows.
Yeah. No, I make jokes about that all the time. My father and I, if we sit down and you look at us and our mannerisms, just our facial structure, it's like I can't deny it. There's no doubt that I'm his child. But, except for he didn't weigh over 200 pounds until he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
And so, the joke is always like, well, who's the milkman? But, obviously, there's no denying it.
And so... do you think you instantly took to fighting? Because
no, I naturally don't have a fighting personality.
Okay.
I'm very passive by nature, and even in my first couple of fights early in my career, you've seen that I was very much of a pussy. Mm-hmm. Which most big men are.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
That if you're big and strong and a good athlete, and you get put in adversity, most people crush.
Right.
Because I'm so used to being able to beat everybody up so easily.
Yeah.
So the first couple of times that someone resisted and was able to fight back, it made me panic. And then because of martial arts being such a great format to train your mind, because of through failure, I searched out how to reach success.
Mm-hmm. And was that like a conscious thing? Did you bring someone in, or was that a personal journey you went on yourself?
Personal.
Okay.
You find a lot of jiu-jitsu artists tend to be about winning the fight without actually causing major damage. It's about getting to the submission and like Damian Maia style, I guess, causing very little violence, winning the fight.
It's funny because it looks incredibly violent when you're almost about to snap a man's arm off.
As Frank got through his career, the violence certainly did increase somewhat.
I suppose there's something quite extreme about it, that like if you see a limb which looks like it's about to rip out of its socket, there's something... I was watching a highlights video. I'm not a huge UFC fan, like, if I'm going to be completely honest, but like I was watching a highlights video the other day. Most of the videos are just extreme angles of you almost ripping someone's arm out, or like...
Oh, I did rip.
Yeah. Or ripping someone's arm out, yeah.
Well, you were the... I guess, some people might put Verdum up there, but you were the heavyweight king of submissions, really.
Well, and actually, I think as far as the submission aspect of the game goes, I am the best. There's guys that might have better jiu-jitsu, different aspects of it, but that's like saying, he's a better boxer, but who's the best knockout artist? Mm-hmm. And as far as that goes,
I think there was always that question between a lot of fight fans there was Antônio Nogueira and Frank Mir. They had the first fight. You'd really evolved your stand-up so much, it was...
Caught him off guard.
It was quite easy for you, actually. It was shocking because for a big guy, you are really light on your feet and you were bouncing and you weren't staying still for a second. He couldn't pin you. And you just beat the crap out of him. And then the excuses came from, I had staph infection. And to be fair to Nogueira, he definitely put up a better showing for a period of time in the second fight. He'd obviously worked on his stand-up because he knew how good you'd become. But to break like Nogueira's arm was the ultimate statement. A lot of people viewed him as someone you looked up to. So then to the student became the master, basically, and that fighter was such a pass
and that
in
was
the
a good
god.
example of me overcoming adversity and learning how to deal with it, because he caught me with a good shot and I was hurt. And the old me that started out the way I was born probably would have folded up, like, all right, it's done. But the new, what I created through hard training and through, trial and error was somebody that didn't think about what was happening, like, oh, how did I get to this point? And how am I going to get out of this point? I just thought about where I'm at right now. So I just identified every move. Okay, I'm going to choke. How do I get out of it? Sweep. All right, oh, there's his arm. I'm going to take that. Okay, move to the next position. Not sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, going, oh, I can't believe I'm getting my ass kicked right
Are you naturally a good problem solver?
Yeah, I've always been, because I actually think, the most important thing about being good at anything is liking it. And I like solving issues. You know what I mean? Like everything, I'll see a problem, and I'll, even arguing with somebody or having a discussion, I try to look for solutions.
People who have passion for something will always, in my opinion, be better than someone who is almost forced into it, even if they work exactly the same at it.
So that's a great framework, but then some people say, well, obviously breaking someone's arm is not a solution. So how do you get into that?
It is a solution.
No, you know what I mean by that. It's not. If you're talking about looking for I'm not arguing with the way you're thinking. What I'm trying to do is get to a point. What I'm saying to you is, like, how do you get into the mindset of looking for the solution of breaking someone's arm? Do you know, because it's not a positive outcome for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Well, because it's the same thing as if someone's in front of me dribbling the ball and I can't dribble with you, so I sweep your legs out from underneath you.
Sure.
I'm not being malicious. I'm not trying to break your legs, but that's a viable solution for me to defeat what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you see it all the time in different sports where people have to make contact with each other. I can't be a complete passive and say, well, I'm not going to hurt you. Well, then find a different sport.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, sportative-wise, when I lock something up on you, I'm trying to apply pressure to where if the limb's going to break if you don't tap, and you have a solution to get out. So that's why I've never been mad, because I've never after a person referee stopped the fight, gave an extra.
Right.
I've never been that guy that, let me see if I
twist a little more.
No, that's not my point. My point is to try to disable the body.
Yeah.
Now it's one less thing I have to worry about. So if we're fighting and I break your shoulder, if you don't tap and the referee doesn't stop the fight, okay. So now I go back to, how do I get to his neck? Because I know if I cut the blood off to your brain, you lose consciousness. And now I have one less arm to worry about. Mm-hmm. To me, it's not really true violence, because there was no animosity behind it. I'm not mad at you. I'm not trying to make it to where you're, and you agreed to this. We both sit there and go, it's like American rules football.
There was a lot of mutual respect between you and Nogueira as well. It wasn't a bad blood sort of fight, really.
No, but there have been instances where you have been in a situation where there is a certain amount of animosity. Is that do you feel different going into those fights?
No, not at all. As soon as the fight starts, I keep my mind clear, just the task at hand. Mm-hmm. I think anytime you have an emotional predetermination to something, it causes distraction. And I want to have my mind as clear as possible to see exactly what's in front of me.
I don't remember you ever getting rattled before a fight. I can't remember one fight where you went in the shouting angry guy. You always seemed like that clear.
Yeah, so I can see the, I can make reads. All right, go here, do this.
And in that moment when Nogueira's lying there on the floor, you've broken his arm, there was shock in the MMA community. Like, we've seen something that nobody really ever expected to see. Frank Mir has just broken Nogueira's arm. Like, Nogueira was like the grandfather almost, wasn't he, of like the submission game in the heavyweight division, like in Pride and that.
Mm-hmm. How did that feel
when I was doing it?
Or after?
From the moment you did it. After.
Well, I think how it felt when I did it would be the same as somebody. In America, it's much easier for me to make the analogy. You tackle somebody with the ball.
Yeah.
You had the ball, I hit you.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, if during the game he gets hurt, okay, you're hurt. I take a knee, get him off the playing field, and go back to being competitive. Then obviously when I go home and and now I'm relaxed. I remember when it happened, I looked over and I was like, man, I wish you would have tapped earlier.
Yeah.
And in fact, I never felt him tap at all, because by the time he tapped, I'd already broken his limb, and he was tapping between my legs, and I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the referee, so that way I knew that it was already past the point of no return. I wanted to be able to, as soon as I felt him coming in, I could let go.
Yeah.
Because no matter what happens, if I stop before the referee stops it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So you could see as I'm doing it, me looking up at the referee like, all right, I know where this is going. When can we stop, you know? And so when it happened, no problem, because that's the frame of mind I'm in. It's like being on the football field tackling somebody. But if I went to the grocery store, if you said, hey, hit that old lady over there, I'm like, what? I'm not in that frame of mind right now. If she walked in the cage, go ahead. I'm going to break her shoulder.
Sure, yeah. That piece of shit.
Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah.
So it was funny as I went home, and friends of mine taped the fight, for us. So they all sit down, the wife, and they want to watch it with me. So we're sitting there watching it, and as you see the arm going, I started doing the, oh shit, and then like it breaks and I jerk. My wife looked at me. She's like, you're the one that did that.
You're the one who fucking did it.
I'm like, yeah, I'm in a different frame of mind right now. Now I'm home. I'm with my wife, my kids. I'm not
your dad again.
Yeah, I'm me. I'm not him. You know what I mean? Like, that's the guy that fights people. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you can see someone in a bar, in a situation where I'm like, yeah, having a good time laughing. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to fight. Then, whoop, all right, I'm in fight mode now. Now I have to hurt somebody.
Yeah. So, and do you... That's very deliberate from you, though, compartmentalizing those things so that you don't cross those over.
Yeah, and I think that most people have to.
Yeah.
You have a different frame of mind that when you are hunting than you do when you're just home with your children. Even a hunter, out in the woods, you have a different mindset than you're going to have when you relax. You put your guard down, you're home, you're talkative, you're hanging out. If you're out in the bushes and you were talking with your buddies hanging out, you ain't going to hit shit. All the animals running away. I mean, like, there has to be a different kind of focus.
For me, you silenced so many doubters that night. Like, I think you cemented your legacy at that point of one of the greats with that moment. Like, you'd already done so much, but that was like, oh, that was fucking immense. Did you ever get any emotion towards people who doubted you in the past, where you wanted to rub people's face in it, or you wanted to have that, well, look what I fucking done, I told you I was the number one, like, you know what I mean?
No, here's the thing. It's funny. I hear people say, ignore the critics, don't listen to the naysayers. And that is really shitty advice.
Okay.
It really is. Listen to everything, bad or good. Be thick-skinned enough to deal with it. Don't be a bitch and cry about everything you hear about yourself. But those critics and naysayers, not the idiots that just go, suck a dick, you know what I mean? Like, all right, don't have to. But if they're like, oh, man, you suck at X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Well, shit, do I? Then I can look at it and go, well, yeah, I do need to work here, or I do have this shortcoming there. And then sometimes the people that love you, that you want to listen to, they don't want to tell you, well, I'm not going to say that, actually, Frank, the way you talk in this situation, kind of makes you look, where I hear someone else go, that motherfucker's an asshole. And I'm like, all right, well, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So listening to critics, it's like I just seen an actress that, Kate Winslet, she's like, oh, they told me I was too fat, that I couldn't do it. I'm like, so you're telling the fat girl at home to ignore that advice? No, listen to that advice.
Yeah.
People are calling you too fat. Do something about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, or find some way to make that adjustment. But sitting there, I'm just going to ignore you so I can march on. I'm like, well, can't you listen to people? It hurts your feeling a little bit.
Yeah.
But
she's more of the exception to the case than the actual...
Right, but so then you listen to the advice and you're like, okay, and now drive forward with it and use it as ammo to help make yourself a better person.
It sounds like you're very good at separating the emotion from the situation and thinking from more of an analytical standpoint.
Well, you try to as much as possible. Not that my feelings don't also get hurt sometimes. I mean, fuck, I'm human.
Yeah.
But you can't let it paralyze you. There has to be balance. If you think about it, nothing in life works without balance. Mm-hmm. You can't sit there and go, I'm going to ignore everybody. All right, well, that's not going to be very useful. You're going to have no insight. You're never going to have any other perspectives to come in and tell you and show you what's going on. You're like, I'm going to listen to everybody, and well, shit, man. Now you have too much information coming in. Now you're overloaded. There has to be a healthy medium in all things. Social media can be good if you're on your phone in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, because it's overkill. You know what I mean? At the same time, sometimes I'm a victim of that. That I don't really like social media. I really don't. I like talking to people in person. So I actually just learned yesterday how to retweet.
Wow.
I had no clue. Like, if you said, hey, retweet this, I'm like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. None whatsoever. It's like, oh, man, because I'll post things. I thought that was good enough. And I'm like, no, you need to interact more. I honestly don't know how to.
Yeah.
You could fucking... Even when I fought Todd Duffy, like, he's saying this to you, saying this about you. I'm all, On what? He's all Twitter. I'm all, the fuck did I know? If you told me right now a nuclear bomb was coming in an hour and you posted it on Twitter, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
He's wondering.
I'm sitting at the cafe going, where the fuck's everybody going, man? I have no idea.
That's really interesting. I mean, that is that something again that you sort of naturally have always thought that way. You sort of there's that family thing that came through, or have you developed that as a
Well,
fighter?
I don't like talking on the phone to people either. Like all my friends and family know, if you keep me on the phone for more than 60 seconds, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to be on the phone. I hate being on the phone. I love texting.
I could gather that when I rang him yesterday.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, yes, no, bye. I'm very...
It's fucking one for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah, but now look, we're here talking in person. I won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I like talking to people. I'll have an interaction with you.
You've got your own podcast, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
Phone Booth Fighting, if you're wondering.
Yeah, me and
check that
Richard
out.
Hunter, I'm full moon fighting down at my house twice weekly, and we talk. But if you just had me just talking to fans, I don't know. I can't see you. I need to see you and feel you and just, all right, and get a read off you, and you can read me, and I'm good with that. But as far as, so probably the fact that, like, I suck on the phone. Like I said, texting to me is awesome. One or two sentences get your whole point across.
Yeah.
I have the same conversation with somebody and they want to talk to me for 2 minutes, and I'm like, holy fuck, man, I just wasted a minute and a half of my life listening to you on the phone. You could have just said, I'm going to pick you up here. Are you hungry? I'll be... Done. Yes.
Yeah, but some people do want to. I know there's everyone in London at the moment. I don't know if it's the same in America. Is obsessed with sending voice notes. So they'll like record a 3-minute voice note. I had a 10-minute voice note from someone the other day, and I was like, I'm just not going to listen to this. You can't send me a 10-minute audio message and expect. I was like, send me the text. I'll skim it, and if it's interesting to me, then I'll answer.
No, I don't. Fuck, thank God, because I have a friend of mine.
Just send Frank round, mate. You'll get him tell.
Yeah, I know, but Frank and I don't look the same.
Yeah.
If I tell someone don't do that, they just go, fuck you.
And sometimes, you know, when I don't answer the phone, he'll leave me a voicemail.
Yeah.
And it'll show you how long the voicemail is. And if it's longer than 15 seconds, I delete you. Like, I probably have had, like, you're going to die of cancer next year. Like, you know, if you've left it for more than 15 seconds, I'm like, fuck it. We're sending a man to kill you. I'm like, it's a 16-second message. Not that important.
Yeah.
I mean,
You just need someone to just go, we're going to kill you, bye.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm like, if you can't get your point across in 15 seconds, you're probably rambling.
It's not an elevator pitch. But all you need is all your ideas in an elevator pitch. Basically.
Yeah, right there. Boom, go. You know, I've seen those where they're 3 minutes long, and I look at it, I'm all, I hope he's not telling me his dad's dead, because I'll never know.
Savage.
The thing is now other people know that. They're not going to try and contact you in that way.
Well,
And that's really handy.
Most of my friends know. It's
Yeah.
like, because they'll say, hey, I left you a message. I'm all, the 3-minute one? They're like, yeah. I'm all, I deleted it.
Yeah. But that's not an antisocial
I never
thing.
looked at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you need? Oh, I was just seeing what you're up to in this week. We're going to go riding this week. And I'm all, that took 3 minutes to figure out? Well, yeah. I'm like, no, man, fuck. Hey, man,
Call me.
this Sunday we're going to go for a ride. You want to go? Look how quick that was.
Actually, speaking of that, I was actually going to mention that because when you first won the heavyweight title, you beat Sylvia,
Yeah.
you had a motorcycle accident after that, and they took the title off you because you were quite badly injured, weren't you? Your resilience must have fucking come into play a big time then, because you had a lot of rehab and stuff like that to do, didn't you?
Yeah.
There was big questions about Frank at this point. Like, people, when you first came back, were like, because you were, I don't know, like the prodigy, like you, this young guy who was just ripping through people, and then is he ever going to be the same again?
How old were you at that point?
24.
Okay.
You are finishing fights, you were killing people off easily, and then
now
it was
title in less than a minute. Yeah.
so much questions over you, like, can he ever come back from this? How did you manage that, and how bad was it when you got
It was
injured?
bad, and then also too, just, you know, because physically I wasn't the same for many, many years. It took away different tools that I had relied upon, that now all of a sudden now I had to, okay, here, you know, this problem, you got to get over that wall. All right, okay, but now you don't have the ability to jump. I'm like, oh shit, I always just jumped up and grabbed it. Well, you still got to get over the wall, but you can't jump as high now. So that created many problems that, you know, that I think, you know, always urge, that's what I tell people. People say, oh, you inspire me. I'm like, okay, it's not this is not a movie. I didn't have one point where, like, it's shit, and then oh, I had an eye-opening experience, and then everything went the right way.
That's the way people imagine it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, they think about that.
Yeah.
So then I realize, I'm like, look, I would have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And it's this constant up and down battle, and knowing that when you're having a bad day, that just, fight through it, and then you'll catch the momentum of a good day. But don't lose despair when you gain momentum, and all of a sudden you hit another wall. It's not like, well, fuck, I tried. No, keep trying. Till you die, figure out a way to move through it.
Yeah.
Did that frustration get to you at any point?
Many times. In fact, one time I specifically went to my wife after a fight, I'd lost, and was like, I just don't have it. I mean, look, we're trying, and it's just not working out. And then she, thankfully was able to sit there and go, you're wrong, I can't believe that you're acting this way right now. I seen you in your moments of strength, and that guy would be ashamed of this person that's looking at me in this bed right now.
That's true. That's being very honest.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, especially a bloke who looks like you, wouldn't have the courage to be that honest with you. But that's what they call tough love, isn't it?
Well, and that's one thing I really love about my wife is that, it's funny because it has caused us problems, and she's stuck to her guns. And she's actually had the best explanation for it. In one sense, she's very much my manager. She's kind of like my keeper. Like, no, Frank, don't eat that. No, Frank, you can't go fucking jump out of an airplane tomorrow. No. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't have a very good personality for that. My personality is very much, you can explain to me why, but you can't tell me no. Let me make that decision, I don't like authority over the top of me. And so I've always been that kid where if you're like, hey, everybody has to go to the left, I start going to the right. I'm like, well, you just fucking told me to go this way. I have to go. I can't help it. There's something in my chest telling me to not do what you're asking me to do. But if you give me a good explanation, I will. So in one sense, we have to put that hat on. Her and I have had some very ugly confrontations verbally, and then she has to put the hat on where she is my wife. And it's hard because then I'm still looking at the same exact person.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, no, that was me as the manager talking to you about how you dealt with this situation because it's not the right way. And now I'm your wife. I support whatever you do. I love you. You know what I mean? It's like, what?
That's hard.
It's very hard. And I give her a lot of credit for that because I see so many other spouses and significant others that don't want to tell their loved one what they don't want to hear because it's a fucking fight.
It makes life easier, doesn't it?
I'm going to tell the missus that she's put 20 pounds on. It's probably not good for her. And she's going to be upset about that. Good fucking luck with that one. You know what I mean? But my wife will come to me and go, fuck, you look fat right now. Like, what the hell? Like this and that. We need to do something about that. Where, as my wife, she's just like, look, I'm happy with you. You're still attractive. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. Yeah. But she goes, but if you want that sponsor from that company, you can't look like that.
Yeah.
So she told you, basically, you've still got it, and she was right. Ultimately, obviously, you went on and fought for a long time.
It's funny because then I'm sitting there going, "How the fuck do you know?" Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like from the outside, you're watching, but I know what let's look at results. Because sometimes I can be very pessimistic, but that's because I'm very statistical. Mm-hmm. I look at it, if you say, "Hey, we're going to jump out of this helicopter, land in the water, we're going to swim over there," I'm like, "All right, what are the chances of this working?" 15%. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Get the chopper closer. Where you get those guys that are just gun-ho optimistic. They're like, fuck it, I can do it. I'm not that guy. I'm no. You just said 15%. I'm not fucking jumping out of this thing,
Which is ironic, though, because to be a fighter, you've got to shut that voice off once you get in the cage and be convinced that you're going to win, I guess. Like, whereas
I don't think so.
How's that work?
How's it work? Because then if you're convinced you're going to win, you're ignoring facts.
Right.
I've walked into fights going, fuck, he has a higher percentage of winning than I do, and this is why. I'm doing the math in my head. Okay, is there anywhere I can make adjustments? Where does he have the higher percentage at? Well, here, or over there, if it goes here. Okay, so I know I need to take it here where now I have a 40% chance of winning. I've increased the odds because I've identified. You just, once again, can't be paralyzed with facts. Just because you see a lion in the room, it's like, the chances of winning are slim. Why? He's bigger, stronger, has teeth. All right, so I've acknowledged that you can eat me. Well, what if I grab the stance over there and I put a stick on the end of it? Well, not a guarantee for victory, but you've increased your chances now. And so, and then now it's like, okay, well, now just do what you have to do. without looking at the facts. But you have to address them until the very moment of confrontation, because it's like in war. You can't sit there. Anytime a general in war, if you go through histories of war, goes, we're just going to drive through it. Look at Hitler. When he destroyed the German army, was like, you know what, we're going to attack Russia. Even everybody goes, hey man, Russian winter, not a good idea. But that bravado that, well, I'm just going to push through it. Where instead, if he'd have been more like me going, fuck, that's kind of scary. We're not going to go that way. Are the Japanese going to help us? Like, no, we're not communicating with them very well. Okay, well, why don't we fix that and have them go this way, and we'll pause and hang out here, because the chances of going through that are probably not very good.
His wife wasn't as good as yours.
Yeah. I guess for a good thing.
For good reason. Yeah.
We all kind of went out on that word.
The podcast would not be happening.
Well, because then, that's my thing about...
Thank God for Hitler's wife being so shit.
Yeah. That was the main reason, actually, yeah.
It was all her fuck up, ultimately, when you look back. It was all her fault.
You think about it, though. I mean, if you look at it, it's like Churchill as well. Churchill had a pretty staunch wife. Like, and he's got some great quotes as well. There was one woman who said to him... if I was your wife, I'd put poison in your tea. And he was like, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. That's like one of the best lines of all time. Fucking good. So essentially, it's about having a good marriage, is what you're saying.
Well, it helps to have a good partner in life. You know what I mean? Have somebody that supports you and is willing to tell you what, might not be the prettiest thing in the world.
How long have you been with them?
15 years now.
So pretty much UFC or your fighting life, you've been with it?
Yeah, we were dating my second fight in the UFC.
How does she deal with it when you get in the octagon? Because I've said this before on my fight videos, is at the heavyweight level, it's not like the lightweight or the featherweight in that way. You see unbeaten runs for 10, 20 fights sometimes, because when they get their chin checked, there's a much better chance of surviving that and getting it out, and that's why Mighty Mouse has gone undefeated for so long and people like that. Whereas at the heavyweight level, you make a mistake, you pay for it, and you pay for it drastically.
My wife doesn't really worry about me in the cage. Yeah. She's seen worse battles and injuries occurring in practice.
Really?
Her biggest fear is that if I fail, how long, and that not is really even the case anymore. Before, when I was younger, I would fail, I'd be pissed off at myself, angry, despair. There would be that 3 or 4 days of just like, fuck, I don't want to leave the house, and then, to climb out of it. And in her mind, I understand, she's like, okay, the world's been put on hold for 8 weeks. I just want to have my husband back. I don't want the fighter anymore. I just want to be able to go out, go to the pool, go to eat dinner, and not have fighting consume our world. And if you lose, fuck, even when I win, it's still that way. So she wants me to shut that down. So I do a much better job of that now, acknowledging that, like, once the fight's over with, whatever happens, the next week or two is hers. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, what do you want to do? So I've been in places, Disneyland, black eyes afterwards, just put on the sunglasses, go with it. You know what I mean?
That's because she wins, really, doesn't she? At the end, she gets you back, is what you're saying. Yeah, which is, so there's this huge positive payoff.
Right. So then I just realized that life has to go on.
And you were saying she's obviously seen worse injuries in training. I was sort of curious about this because, obviously you make so many people tap out. How do you train to do that sort of thing? Because obviously you can't get someone else in the ring and you go, I'm going to break your arm now. Or
I think it's just being honest with yourself, what you're training for. I don't train to put people in pain. I train to lock up a solid move that I've trained enough and know that, okay, if I do this, it's going to break your shoulder. So in training, I go for this, and then the person taps.
Got you.
Just my training partners know to acknowledge it.
And do you have a feeling for that? Like, when you break someone's arm, but do you have a feeling for when you've sort of done it right?
Yeah. This is just like a chiropractor working on someone.
Right.
I know the body well enough, and just through so many years, I have a feel. I can tell when I have something.
I shook his hand before. This is the genuine truth.
And your back feels better already?
No, this is the genuine truth, right? No bullshit, no masculine, manly shit, right? Grip like I've never felt in my fucking life. And it's not like you were... What I mean is you weren't squeezing on my hand or anything. No. But I've never put my hand in another man's hand in my entire life and felt like I had a small hand until today. I swear.
It's funny because I felt like I had a huge hand. No, that's interesting though. I mean, did you develop that feeling then? Like when you first started fighting, did you sort of you were more numb to it, and now you feel like you've honed that in a way, or have you? Well,
like anything, I think of any athletic endeavor, you have more of an understanding. Your body learns more feel, just the more reps you do.
That's really interesting.
One thing I think is interesting is in the pre-Conor McGregor era, because I feel like he has changed the game in that in terms of bringing so many more eyes on the sport.
The greatest promoter we've ever had.
Great talker, no doubt about it, and a hell of a fighter. But before then, I'd have to say, in my opinion, the one fight that brought more eyes to the UFC than ever in the history, because I remember this feeling, because I was a UFC fan since the Ortiz-Ken Shamrock fights, long time before this fight happened. But I remember I was at college and there was the YouTube on, and all of the lads were like 20 years old. All the lads are around this computer and they're all going, fucking hell, have you seen this? And it was you tapping out Brock Lesnar. And that fight...
First time.
The first fight, the first one in particular, because he'd been a pro wrestler, but he was obviously a hell of an athlete, and he had such a massive name. And then the fight was amazing. It was like literally you thought it was going one way, and then it was going the other. It was classic fight. That brought more eyes to the UFC than I think any fight pre-Conor McGregor ever. What was it like to be a part of that from start to finish? How did it feel?
It's funny. Up until about 2 or 3 days before the fight, and I wish I could remember who told it to me in the back. I was taking it very much like, all right, a fight's a fight. I'm always out there just to test myself. That's why I never really cared about who I fight. They're just a dance partner, right? But if you like to dance, you don't sit there at night at the club going, all right, who am I going to find tonight to go dancing with? If you like to dance, I just need someone else to do it with me. I genuinely like fighting. I think fighting is fun. If I thought that people weren't going to stab me or try to shoot me or follow me home afterwards, I'd get into a fight every night at the pub. Like everyone want to fight? Fuck, let's fight. You know what I mean? Like, this is awesome. And then when we're all said and done, we can sit down and drink and hang out and then go home, with our wives.
Fight club style, basically.
I like to fight. I think fighting is fun, It's fun. Whether you get rocked and you rock, it's not me just trying to beat you. I like fighting. Winning, losing, fighting is, is something I enjoy doing. And so, I didn't think much of it except for another fight, and I was in the back, because you do all this media stuff leading up to the fight, and I'm walking through, and one of the other fighters stopped me and goes, all right, man, you're representing us. I'm like, what? He goes, well, he's a pro wrestler. We're fighters. Basically all of MMA is on your shoulders right now. I'm like, oh, thanks.
A little bit like what Conor's going through against Floyd, I guess.
Yeah.
A bit like that.
And so as I'm walking away from him, I'm like, oh, fuck.
No pressure, mate.
I'm like, wait a minute. I remember I turned around for a second to make the argument. I'm like, he's not a pro wrestler. I mean, he is, but the guy's a Division I national champion wrestler. I'm like, that's who I trained for. I didn't train to fight a pro wrestler. I trained to fight this guy. And so, that was when I was like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
It was huge. Like, so many lads who had never been interested in MMA all of a sudden were like wanting to know everything about it, and because they'd seen such an amazing fight. Like,
I'll be honest, I think a lot of people hadn't really heard of it before that because it wasn't very well marketed. Like, WWE was full of marketing. It was all marketed towards even people like me, like people, just normal guys.
Everyone has seen a wrestling.
Who just sort of like the idea of fighting. Do you know what I mean? And then suddenly it opens people's eyes up to it, and they're like, shit, there's like a pro wrestler now who's going to go and try this out. And suddenly everyone's interested because you're built like Brock, bigger, you're stronger than most of these guys, and there's something alluring about that from the outside. You're like, shit, we're going to see. It
was
real
gladiatorial.
Fight. It was like wrestling but real. And you're like, oh shit, this is like actually got some gravitas to it.
Yep.
How did it feel to be part of that? Like you. And what was your feeling towards him and towards that fight the first time?
Oh, no, I mean, I had no ill feelings whatsoever the first time. And then even leading up to the second fight, a lot of it was just bravado of just, what Conor does to sell a fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after the second fight that actually I had some animosity towards him because to me it was like once the fight was over with, the fight's done.
Yeah.
And then, he was still, going off and jumping around. And
he lost a lot of respect from a lot of people for what he did post-fight, because that very rarely, if ever, I don't think that's ever happened before. I mean, maybe Ronda a little bit, where she didn't shake hands, but even Ronda didn't start like mouthing off and screaming like a nut job.
What was your experience? Why do you think that happened? What was your experience of that? Because obviously, you're the focus of his anger.
I was surprised because at that point it had been an act.
Yeah.
On my part, and then when I'm looking at him, I'm like, wait a minute. Were you acting or were you serious?
That must be. Can you imagine from his? I mean, I know fighters don't tend to empathize with the other fighter, but from his perspective, there must be something incredibly frustrating about fighting you twice, and you just being able to be like, "Oh, it's cool, it's over now." but he's been beaten twice.
Well,
and
he won the
No,
first
1-1,
fight.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean though. Like he's essentially he's lost.
Emotionally,
He's lost now. He's lost in the end. And in the end, he's that guy who, like, he's the loser now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he even has the intelligence to understand that concept.
Interesting. Okay. So you still like to wind him up a little bit?
No, I'm just being truthful now.
Okay.
Brock is not actually. I mean, come on, he's not the sharpest tool in the
Okay.
the toolbox there in the drawer. And so
that was the renaissance. Like for me, that was post motorcycle accident. The first fight was like the comeback of Frank Mir, like where you really showed everyone off. Still got it.
How long did that take?
Oh, about 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you went on a hell of a run as well around that time. You were one of the fighters who evolved your skills along the way. Like when we seen you fight Nogueira, your stand-up had come on massively from just being a jiu-jitsu fighter initially. A little bit like, I always thought you were a bit like a heavyweight BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Because you could do it all over, do you know what I mean? And I like that. And he was a cracking fighter back in the day. But was there one pinpoint moment where you look back and think, this was what made me evolve as a fighter? Is there any moment where you looked at it and thought?
No, all kinds of things. And that's why I really don't take it. Again, it's not any movie moments where it's like, oh, this. Every day in the gym when you go to train, there's sometimes small little increment changes, and then sometimes they're big ones. I think it's the same with anybody when they're talking. You have a conversation on an idea that you have a certain stance on, and a conversation with somebody could make a slight variation in that stance that you have. Like, all right, well, yeah, okay, with that information, I'm over here. Then you have those big breakthrough moments where someone says something to you, or you read something, or you're witness to something that has huge rotation on how you think about something, where you're like, now, like, oh shit, this whole time I've thought this way, and now I'm over here. So you have big moments and little moments, but they're always consistent. You're always growing.
When you fought Czech Congo and you just wrecked him so easily, and you basically became a kill or be killed style fighter. Actually, so many first round finishes, just breaking people's arms, taking their chins off. Do you ever regret being that kind of fighter where, you know, when people watch Frank Mir fight?
Why?
No, because it's kill or be killed, and you know, if you live by the sword, but you can also die by the sword. Do you ever wish you'd been a bit more of a, like some of the guys go for decisions and they try and play it safe a bit more?
I think that fighting is, in essence, supposed to be that. You're going for and open up your offense and looking to try to defeat the person in front of you. Trying to play back and just go for the rules of the sport, you know, hold someone against the cage just to try to pull a decision. That's not why I first started fighting in the first place. I like martial arts because, one, it's very difficult and it helps me learn about myself. And primarily, I mean, when you're a little kid, you go to the park, somebody else pushes you around, can you say something back? Can you stand up for what you believe in? And, you know, I've always had, you know, thoughts to myself about situations, and you can't even stand up for your own principles if you can't fight first.
Right.
And when people talk about, well, violence is bad, I'm like, no, it's not.
It's very human.
What do you do to those? I mean, I know you don't have to make an argument with something like that, but what do you say to those people who maybe don't feel like they can fight for themselves? That's someone who's weaker than you. Because if you and I fought, there's only one outcome for that. But I might still believe that my ideas match up to yours. Do you know what I mean?
Doesn't make right.
Yeah.
But still, you should not just acquiesce to, oh, I'm going to be defeated. But, you know, to me, it was being able to train enough to make yourself as strong as possible, so that way you were in a better situation to protect yourself. And also, too, our society, you know, we're tribal animals. So you might not be able to defend yourself, but then we're friends. I can defend you.
You got your back.
But at the same time...
Why do you think we're friends?
Right. Well, at the same time, maybe I don't understand how something works around my house. You walk in and go, well, I understand that. And then, boom, you help me. So then we can become mutual contributors to...
allies. Okay, that makes sense.
And so I think that's important. So I think the people that are capable of being strong warriors kind of have an obligation to do so.
So would you... because the way you speak about it, it sounds like a sort of... a very well thought out spiritual approach to something. Would you describe yourself as a spiritual kind of guy, or is this?
Well, I mean,
how do you develop that?
If that's what people want to give it as a definition. But I guess I just really try to be a scientist. I really try to look at what the betterment of me as an individual, and then as humans as a collective. Even morality. I think morality can be really, when people tell me like, well, you're not very religious. I'm like, no. They're like, well, where do you get your morals from? I'm like, you mean why I don't rape and murder and kill you? Yeah, no, because it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because as a tribal entity, part of the tribe, if I started raping, killing, and murdering, the rest of the guys in the tribe would be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And eventually I have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or eventually there's more of you than there are of me, and it wouldn't be very good to my personal survival. And then if I don't survive, how do my offspring survive? So it'd probably be best to work along with everybody else. So even in wolves or chimpanzees in groups, they have a certain moral code of ethics because it's what contributes to them being able to succeed as a group, as a pack. Mm-hmm. And so, and I say, so why don't you do anything of those things? So like, well, God, this and that. I'm all, so wait a minute. So an imaginary friend of yours talks to you and tells you that you can't rape, murder, or kill me. I'm like, what happens if he told you to do so? Would you do it? Well, I'm like, whoa, and I'm the crazy one.
Yeah, that's true. We can be allies. It turns out he just said what I thought, so that's all right.
You have got a very scientific approach to...
Or methodical, I think.
Well, yeah,
I try to.
I'm reminded of, there's a guy called Dorian Yates who's a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I know Dorian. Well, not personally, but I know
but he wrote everything down, and he speaks about weightlifting and training to be the best version of you, because that is bodybuilding. Very similar to the way you speak. Did you ever write stuff down much, or was it all mental when you were
in my head?
Yeah.
Just constantly sitting there and looking at things, and and then once again, either I run into an obstacle and I identify, shit, I'm having a hard time with this, or somebody else points something out in me that I don't like. Well, you look what you did right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was kind of fucked up, huh? Listening to the criticisms from others, and then trying to figure it out, and then upon that, breaking it down. Whether it's a fight move or it's a personality trait, whether it's something I said, like even sometimes in my speech. What did I say the other day? Same thing I just said even recently. I made a joke and said, oh, he's not the sharpest tool in the box, right? And they're like, that's not right, Frank. I'm like, what? They're like, it's the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, you're right. I messed it up. And I think I did it earlier today again.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean,
so
you can still kill someone with a tool. That would be my point.
My point is I'm always looking to make myself a better person.
Well, you're an analyzer of situations, and I guess that's probably why you've naturally went into broadcasting. Now you're a commentator.
Yeah.
We had Dan Hardy on, who's obviously getting into commentating, and he said commentating has made him a better fighter, and he's excited to come back because he feels like he is now much better at breaking people down without being emotionally attached to this opponent. He's now thinking of them just as a fighter. Do you feel like when you come back, I mean, I know you've done commentary for years, but you're really doing a lot of it at the moment. Do you think it'll help you?
Yeah, I think that me breaking down fighting and understanding it more, because I've sat there and watched it, I've simplified it, where certain moves are, all right, if you put your hips here, they win 80% of the time. If you put your hips here, they win it. The other guy wins now. And so I've really simplified a lot of the fighting in my head, and I go, wow, this is actually a lot more basic than people want to think it as. They want to complicate everything. And I think that, if you truly understand something, the more simple it actually becomes. I think the biggest obstacle I'm going to have coming back in April is that I'm 38 years old. I have a very strong weakness for food. I like to eat whatever I want to eat. I travel a lot, so my diet is crazy. When I'm home, I like to drink beer. So now...
It's fantastic.
Basically, yeah, you're describing his ideal life right now. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm living.
Yeah.
So now I have to start making these concessions.
Yeah.
How bad do I want to come back and fight?
Right.
To how bad do I want to be miserable and train hard and do all the non-mental aspects of it, but the physical part of fighting to get my body back in shape and going back into the gym and training. Because I like to train, I like to be in the gym, but I'm kind of like an off-season bodybuilder. There's this off-season bodybuilding's fun, right? It really is.
Yeah.
You go lift, ask any bodybuilder, like, how's the off-season? Great.
Yeah.
They eat what they want, they're lifting heavy, they feel good. It's like, all right, it's 12 weeks before competition. Do you like being a bodybuilder? Fuck this shit, right? I've never met a bodybuilder 2 weeks before a competition is happy that he's a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as being a fighter. Off season is fun, when I'm not training for a fight. Fighting and training, it can be a lot of, I enjoy it right now. In the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I can do this again. I'm like, yeah, I'm fooling myself right now. I got to prepare myself mentally that when it gets time to get ready for fighting again, and because I'm so far out of shape, I'm going to have to start even farther back. The training for that and then the diet behind that over the last couple of years, I've struggled with because, like, fuck, man, do this. I don't want to, man. I just go out there.
There is good things about being a heavyweight, especially as you're getting older, because we're seeing the heavyweights last the longest by a country mile.
Yeah.
We're seeing, I think, Mark Hunt's like, is he mid-40s?
Yeah, 43, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Power's the last thing to go. And I mean, you certainly had a lot of that last time you fought. I personally think you'll do good as long as.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that I'm honest with myself.
Yeah.
People ask about retirement and stuff.
Do you have a number of fights in your head?
No, I just want to go until I can no longer perform at a high level. If I go out there and it looks embarrassing, I just have to be honest with myself and the critics and go, yeah, you know what? Now I'm just kind of wasting everybody's time.
It sounds a lot like you are. You're very good at being your own psychologist, your own sports psychologist. A lot of the way you speak sounds similar to other sportsmen who have their own guy who helps them sort their own head out. Do you think you're quite self-sufficient with that?
Yeah, and I think I'm open-minded to take advice where I can. I like to read, and study things. And also, too, I listen to people. If I see someone who's successful, I hear them talk and they'll say something. I try to break it down on, what are they trying to say? Is that something I can work? And I really think that's really just part of life. Again, constantly learning from your environment how to take those tools in and make yourself a better person.
Do you enjoy watching fighting? Because you say you enjoy fighting, but there are two different things on it.
It's funny. That's why right now, I know I'm signed to do commentary for them. But one of the reasons why I love the ACB is that there is no Conor McGregor.
Okay.
We don't have to really sell a fight. That was always my least favorite part of fighting, was sitting down in the room to do a interview and be like, all right, what do you think of the guy you're fighting? I'm like, well, he's good at this, he's good at that. I'm gonna probably go here. They're like, man, that's not gonna sell tickets.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck. And so then a couple times I remember I used to frustrate the hell out of the people, be like, tell me what you want me to say, man. Well, we don't really want you to put words in your mouth. I'm all, yes, you do.
Yeah.
You just want me to make believe in my head that I came upon them myself. But every time I'm telling you what words I want to say, you're saying that I'm too nice, that I'm being too laid back, that it's boring. I hear you. I'm okay with this. But because I'm not naturally very good, I'm a good smartass. I really am. Like being a smartass, being snarky.
Lawrence can relate to that.
That I'm good at. But straight up just saying, this guy sucks and I'm going to come in there and I'm going to crush your face in. I would never say that in real life.
Yeah. Me either.
It's just not me. You know what I mean? It's not my personality. I might be like, hey, buddy, nice shoes. You know what I mean? You
really, I'm relating here.
you must have no friends. They let you come out with those things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, dude. Like, are you trying to? Wait, you have no condoms, so that's your birth control. You know what I mean? So I could be funny and a dick, but as far as straight up, just like rah, it was never me.
Wow.
And so I always struggled with that. So now with the ACB, guys come out. There's a little bit of marketing, but for the most part, it's fight. All right, get out of here. Next fight, go. No ring card girls even, which might not be the best part of it.
Sure.
There could be a little concessions made.
Disappointed.
I mean, we can definitely sort of fix that up for the time I go.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's fight after fight after fight after fight after fight. I don't have to hear the guy talk after the fight about who he wants to fight next. Very rarely they'll give the microphone for somebody so they can thank the crowd. Boom. Next, all right, the next fight, they're backstage ready to go. As soon as this fight ends,
next one.
The next one's coming. So sometimes, one time we were here in Manchester, we had 26 fights on the card. A same show, the same distance that does it, the regular format, like the UFC and Bellator and all them have, we can do twice as many fights. So if you like fighting, you're going to see twice as many in a store. So now I was actually telling them that you guys are screwing me over. because of the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast, I have to watch the fight so I know what I'm talking about. So I'm sitting there, and now I don't watch. I have not watched a fight live in a year.
Wow.
Not seen one live. So sometimes I do miss some things. They go, hey, what did you think about when Joe or Brian said this? I'm like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I put the fight on, I fast forward. As soon as I see the referee do that, boom, okay, play. All right. Sometimes I'll listen to the in-between 1 minute. But as soon as the fight is over with, I'm fast forwarding it. So boom, I see one guy's hand raised real quick. Boom, other end, the next fight, go. All right, go. Boom, go. I want to see the fight.
Yeah.
And then sometimes through social media or through Richard goes, hey, after the fight, this guy said this. I'm like, all right, shit, let me rewind it. Okay, all right, what did he say? And I have to watch, and,
Yeah, and you have to buy in that bravado style of things. But then I guess, so the ACB make you appreciate the other way of doing it, which is just pure fighting.
Yeah, just pure
and without
fighting.
UFC, maybe you wouldn't appreciate ACB in the same way. Like those two contrast each other quite nicely.
Well, and now, like I said, I get to see what I like the most.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason why I've never been a huge fan of pro wrestling. I know who the pro wrestlers are, but I have never in my entire lifetime sat down and watched a Royal Rumble.
Sure.
I have no idea, right? I've seen glimpses of it through ESPN highlights. I've never bought one, never watched it. I think the actual aspect of what they're doing is pretty cool, the stunts that they're able to do.
Yeah.
But actually getting into, okay, this guy took
Because the
his
majority
manager.
of pro wrestling is promos, isn't it? It's Stone Cold
it's
Steve
soap
Austin.
opera
He's
too.
on the microphone. It's more of what McGregor does, like outside of the ring.
The soap opera.
Yeah.
I don't watch soap operas.
Yeah.
So when I see people that are into that, like Conor McGregor, right, I get it, and more power to him for being such a great, able to understand what people want, but people want soap operas.
Yeah.
I don't watch soap operas.
People
I
want
don't
to see
watch
a fight where
reality
they
TV
feel like
shows.
two people hate each other, rather than these are two athletes who've trained for the last 15 years. They're going to go in there, put their skills to the test, and see which guy's the better fighter. They don't want that. They want bad blood.
Yeah, like when I watched the Olympics, I saw Usain Bolt line up, and I knew that the guy from was it Tyson Gay, I think from America, his time was this, but it was win assisted, and this guy's time is this. I really didn't need them to talk shit to each other. I really wanted to see, well, fuck, let's see, how fast. Can Usain do this? Is he going to break his record this time? I'm just watching a sporting event. I don't care if Usain, what he says to the other guy. It's like, well, he said this beforehand. Like even they were doing that a little bit with the Michael Phelps, with the one African swimmer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're staring at each other. I'm like, really? Who gives a shit?
Who cares?
All you had to do was tell me that guy beat him last time, so it kept him from getting a gold medal. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. All right, now I'm interested. Let me see how this goes. You know what I mean?
I think that is totally down to marketing, though, because like there's certain American sports prove that, don't they? Like,
Yes, they do.
certain people, certain sports are better at marketing numbers than other sports are better at marketing numbers. I think it's just how you sell it.
People like soap operas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I happen to not be a fan of it myself. Yeah. So I think that screws me. I'm not really being good at it.
Do you enjoy watching other sports then? Because you were saying you were watching a few years ago the Lakers.
Yeah, I do. I just don't get heavily into them because, I got a wife and kids, and I already spend so much of my time in a gym. Then when I come home to tell them, hey, you know what, I'm going to put the game on. I can watch certain games at certain times. It becomes acceptable. But I have to read the wife. I got to look at her and go,
Oh, I love that.
I'm going to watch the game? No, I'm not going to watch the game. Right? Yeah.
I've done that so many times. Like, hey, I'm going to go over here and do this. She's all, really? I'm all, no, I'm not.
Well, actually,
go ahead and do it. I'm all, that is a fucking trap right now.
Yeah.
The wife goes, go
Have a
ahead
good
and do it.
time. Yeah.
I'm like, no.
You almost got me.
Yeah.
What is the Frank Mir, the dad, like? What do you? Because I know you got 3 kids. You got an older girl who's in her teenage years and 2 young boys. What do you like as a dad? How do you feel?
Oh, I'm actually pretty, I love being a father. I think that's one of the most important things that I can do now is because I fathered children, and I think I have an obligation, I know I have an obligation, to give them the best opportunity to be successful, individuals and be a part of society. I think if more of us as men thought that way, we would be better as a whole.
It's strange
almost
how
like, take care of your yard, and the whole neighborhood's going to look nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's strange how many men don't have that in their brain, though. Like, I've met a lot of men who've got kids to so many different women. Obviously, sometimes you think you're in the right relationship, and sometimes you'll end up in another relationship, and you might have two girls with kids here. Like, things like that happen sometimes. But when you meet dudes who've got like 4 girls, different kids, and that, and you're like,
And they take
"Oh,
pride
mate."
in it.
Well, they're
Yeah.
peasants.
Fucking cleaning up your act here. What?
That's how I think of it. You're a peasant. All you do is breeding into the working class as far as manual labor, because the chances of your children or you having any type of success, you're okay with mediocrity. Whereas I think more like a king. I'm going to make sure that my children, my unit, is as strong as possible, so that way when they go off to have spouses and we all come over, they're as high-ranking as they can be, so they can find another highly evaluated human being to make sure that they breed on to make better people. And now, look, I'm creating a kingdom.
So
how do you have a kingdom when you have 4 or 5 different wives or women that you have 3 or 4 different
King
kids
Henry
with?
VIII tried that and it didn't work out very well.
It's
Look,
really-
and it destroyed stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a case of like their perspective is that they want to be able to fuck around, do whatever they want to do, and that's where they get their value. But I think a lot of people that sort of runs out for a lot of people. Like what you're talking about is the longevity of a relationship, and those guys don't tend to have very.
Well, to be
good
fair,
long-term
but
relationships.
getting into the UFC, young man that you were, meeting the girl who you were going to marry then, a lot of blokes would have struggled with that, because with the UFC and with being a fighter and being a big dude, you're going to get a lot of attention. Did you ever find that challenging?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah.
a man. And, that is a challenge. But I just had to look at the things that I knew that from the moment I met my wife. In fact, here's a little intro into our relationship. When we first started dating, she moved in with me.
She moved quick.
No, we dated probably for about 6 months.
Okay.
No, and then she, 8 months, she moved in with me. And at that point, I made sure that, I told her, I said, oh, you don't have to go over a bank account anymore. You don't have to work anymore.
Wow.
I'll take care of you. And then she was like, I don't know, that just seemed like a great idea. So I grabbed her birth control and I hid them. So I purposely impregnated her.
It's really funny. Like
Women have been doing it for thousands of,
No,
hundreds
I
of-
love the way
You did it the other way
worded
around.
it. I purposefully impregnated her.
Oh, yeah, no.
Did you tell her that after
Oh,
you'd done
yeah.
it? You were like,
Oh,
I've just purposely
absolutely.
impregnated you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and she was like, I got pregnant, and I remember at first,
I know.
I wasn't
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
for it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, even though, like, this was my intentions, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, when we got the call, I took her to the hospital, and they're like, oh, she's pregnant. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is happening. you know?
Yeah.
I waited a couple months, and then I let her know that, like, I kind of, she goes, your birth control missing for a couple of days. I'm like, I knew that if I threw it off rhythm a little while, that, that.
Clever. You throw her out.
She forgave you.
You made it tap
Yeah,
out.
she's okay with it.
Yeah.
It's funny, even with our last child, that was all me.
Really?
Our youngest, again, sorry, Roro.
You're fucking mad, man.
Ronan, she was like, look, my wife's 5 years older than I am. So she's like, look, Cage at the time was like, 3 years old. And he was just getting out of diapers, now it's like, all right, we're not having to change the diapers anymore. And I'm like, oh.
You're feeling like you can relax at this point.
Right.
The hard work's done. Chill time.
And fucking me, I mean, she's doing all the hard work, taking care of the babies all the time. I'm in the gym training, coming back. But I was like, we got to just try for one more, you know what I mean? And sure enough, she didn't want to. So at the time, our birth control method was pretty reliant upon me.
Yeah.
So I just made sure that we slipped up.
Yeah. Which is actually pretty easy to do.
I
yeah.
made sure that we slipped.
Yeah.
Which is funny because then when she got pregnant, her mother was just like, because, when we found out, it was funny. I was with some other fighters. We were training. And they were staying with me. So we stopped by and she's like, I missed my period. And she's like, did you, you were safe the other night. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. She was, I missed my period for 2 weeks. I'm like, all right. So we stop at a Walgreens. She goes in and buys the birth test, right? So she runs off to the bathroom, and I remember chocolate milk, big old thing of chocolate milk. I'm drinking it. The girls were sitting there talking, like, I'm hoping she's pregnant. And she's like, really? That'd be a good thing.
That'd be a good.
So then here comes my wife out of the bathroom, and she's just staring at me. She's like,
what?
oh, balls.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. I'm like, yes. And now the lady's looking at me like, what the
This is like the opposite of what
What
we
is
used
going
to
on?
say.
Yeah.
what's going on here, And so we go out to the car, and I'm in a good mood, but I know I can't talk about it because, So she walks out, and she gets in the driver's seat, and I get in the passenger seat. Now the two guys in the car just saw us walk in. They don't know
sobbing.
why.
Yeah.
And she comes out bawling, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so we get there.
Zero fucks given.
She runs upstairs. She shuts the door. So I'm sitting there, and then they run into the guest room, and they come back, and they have their bags. They're like, hey, Matt, we don't know what's going on, but we'll get out of here. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm like, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
They're like, is that good? I'm like, yeah.
Still got the chocolate milk.
Just chugging it.
Give it a couple days.
Yeah.
She'll get over it.
Yeah. How old's your youngest now?
He's 8.
Okay,
but that's
wow.
okay. She got her vengeance on me. What was it? 5 years ago, when he was 3, she's like, "Okay, we're for really done." I'm like, "Yeah, we're for really done." You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm like, but then I fucked myself. I was like, well, the boys have brothers. The girl has no sister.
No sister, yeah.
So I know, come on, let's try this. So then she's like, all right, tomorrow you have an appointment with the doctor. I'm like, what? She goes, if you love me and you want this relationship to work, you have to go get a vasectomy. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got,
Got the snip, mate.
I mean, to be fair, you did everything you could up until that point.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
What actually does that entail? Getting that done?
I've watched it on Instagram the other day.
It's actually embarrassing. It's a little difficult because you have to sit up on the bench and you put your legs up in stirrups, and I've never in my life ever had to do this.
Yeah.
With no
I hope they
pants.
had reinforced ones for this big bastard.
No, so I'm sitting there. It's funny because when I walked in there, the guy calls me by my real name. You know, it's medical paperwork, and my name is Francisco. And so the guy goes, all right, Francisco Santos Mir III, right? I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. This motherfucker does not know who I am.
Yeah.
This is going to make this less awkward. He goes, okay, well, everything, blah, 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 blah. Then I'll see you later today at 3 o'clock, do your procedure. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I leave. And then I ask him, like, hey, is anybody else going to be in the room with this? You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of the nurses and stuff. He goes, no, it'll just be us. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I walk out. So when I come back at 3 o'clock, I go in the room like, okay, disrobe from your waist down, okay. Like, oh, you should have, used a razor blade to shave. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. No problem. Nurse. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, can I? Like, no, just lay there. So you have to lay there and, they're cutting up.
That's a weird feeling.
Right. And it's also a young nurse, you know what I mean? Not that she was a 10, but she's still a young, cute girl. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this is weird. Like, I hope I don't, it's very awkward. So then the guy
Do you want to get pregnant?
Yeah. I'm all, last hurrah.
Just one last go. On the Mia machine.
I'm all, before, I always make jokes that I have a movie set gun. I mean, like, makes all the noises and looks real, but no bullets. So I'm sitting there, now the guy,
bang.
No, seriously, the guy's sitting in the stool, and here I'm here, and he keeps telling me, hey, you have to keep your legs spread, because it's just natural that I keep wanting to pull my legs in, so I'm like fighting him back, and I'm like trying to read the different shit in the room, what I mean? Like, oh, so that's scoliosis, I never realized, So he's about a minute into it, because they give you an injection to numb you. And he goes, hey, do you feel this? I'm like, no, I don't. I can feel pressure, but it doesn't hurt. Okay. So, hey, Frank, have you ever thought of getting into movies or anything?
Really?
You're like a good-looking guy. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, fuck, he knows who I am. But then he's having a conversation with me, like with my
your balls.
right here, right?
Yeah.
And so at first I was like really awkward. And then by the way, the nurse is in the room, she didn't leave.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
He's like, you should get into porn with this. And you're like, whoa.
So have you ever thought about getting into movies?
Well, the only thing that kept me somewhat, like I'm sitting there and again solving problems, like, wow, I'm so embarrassed right now. And then I'm like, wait a minute. How many balls is this guy seeing that he's sitting there and he don't give a shit? Nah. He's just talking to me. I'm like, you don't give a fuck. So I don't either.
It's like getting in the cage. Like some people would find
he's like
that
a dentist.
extreme.
You know what I mean? Like it's like how many mouths is this guy seeing?
Yeah.
So
wow. And for him, that's like an everyday procedure. But he must realize that's pretty fucking huge for most guys. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Although, you've got 3 kids, so essentially you're good.
Yeah, I was good. I was already
the procedure is huge.
The procedure is pretty big.
I just want to correct what you said there.
Yeah.
Because some people will... Yeah, the comments.
Comments.
We've got loads of questions for you as well, so I'll crack on with some of them. The Twitter world has spoken. They've got a couple of questions. Quite a lot, actually. Do you have a big regret in your career or life?
Yeah, don't train through injuries. I've fought too many times where, there's this need, I think, in MMA to prove, or in sporting in general, that, if you have a busted ankle, just wrap it up and get through practice. Whereas now I know, no, practice is over with, or do something different in practice that'll still make you a better athlete and prove that micro percentage. And let's address your ankle, because you're probably going to win or lose fights more or less based off of how injured you are, more so than anything else.
Well, MMA is one of the worst sports, if not the worst sport for injuries, I guess.
It is.
Someone said, do you have days where you wish you'd taken an easier life, maybe a different job?
All the time. Not so much because it's hard, but then sometimes I think about my contribution to society. At the end of the day, I fought people, and I fight people. I'm an entertainer when you really think about it.
Oh, that's exactly what you are, without a doubt.
Yeah, that kind of bugs me.
You don't feel like you're taken seriously enough because of that word.
What did I really do for anybody? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a police officer. Not a firefighter.
But then you've just said before, you are having children who might be that, and you're giving them the education to achieve that.
And that's actually the only thing that keeps my sanity. And one of the main reasons why I do my podcast at Phone Booth Fighting is if I can share my ideas on martial arts. Martial arts should be something you do besides your job as a hobby, or like kind of going to church on Sunday. I became the priest. I made the church my whole job, my whole existence. And so, not very good balance in life, but it is the road I took. Had I got to start over, I definitely would have wanted to go in the medical field, maybe become a doctor, something where I could have used my mind of problem-solving skills in a much more helpful way for society. So sometimes at the end of the day, I'll tease or I make fun of a Kardashian, right? And then I'm like, I'll sit there and go, I got to kind of shut my mouth because I'm really not any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But you got better tits.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, at least they're real.
My ass is pretty nice.
But
Let's be realistic now.
I see what you're saying, but you'd also say there's going to be a lot of policemen out there.
It's like what we get about get a proper job. Like we get, like YouTubers get that get a proper job sort of thing. Do you know, like?
I think though, like my argument to that is like you say, there's got to be balance. In order to have a functioning society, people have to be motivated and entertained, and you've got to have that relaxation time. And I get it. Like maybe society being structured different in a way, so we didn't have TVs and entertainment, and you might not have to be. Everyone could entertain themselves. But if you motivate a policeman or a doctor,
and that's where I do gain satisfaction now with my existence. Is that not only do I help use the things that I train and I have people's attention through what I've done as a fighter, that now maybe if I could give advice or any kind of direction or spark, like I think sometimes people think they're like, well, I know how to do it. I'm like, I don't really think that's what a leader does so much, because we're fallible. I'm still human.
Yeah.
You can name the greatest human being in the world and I'll show you flaws.
Yeah.
I'll show you somebody who has probably things that they don't want to talk about publicly. Martin Luther King, I mean, he was a great man in our society. There was some things about his marriage that, and some extracurricular activity that he had outside his marriage that is not,
Muhammad Ali, people like that.
JFK,
Everyone's
Marilyn Monroe. You know what I mean? Like, you have guys that are great human beings. I'm not taking anything away from them. But if you make yourself out to be something more than that, than a human being, I think that's when people could distort your message. Like, well, he wasn't that great. But no, but I did something great at this one moment. And if it helps you spur you off into your own direction, then take advantage of it. Use it as a vehicle for your own mind. You don't have to just sit there and go, I want to be like him. That's scary. Don't be like somebody, but learn from their path and then try to take your own.
That's but like what being inspired is about, isn't it? It's about taking from them but using it through what you're capable of.
But if you create a hero, sometimes a hero worship, that sometimes scares me, because it's like you might get disappointed.
Well, it's that classic Batman line, like you either die a superhero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like people get disappointed.
Well, it's like when you go to
MMA
gyms. Like I've been in many gyms before where I've looked around and seen lads who are convinced they're going to be the next big thing, and you look at them fight and you think, you're a bag of shit though. Do you know what I mean? And you have to be honest with yourself. But some of them are so convinced by that hero worship that I'm following in the footsteps, I'm the next McGregor, and sometimes they don't get that chat.
It's difficult. That must be hard, because actually, you some of those guys are also completely limited by the fact they've only really got that gym. Like maybe there's no one in there who's going to be honest with them. That's tricky. Yeah, it is. That must be tricky though when you think about retiring. Your identity. How much of your identity is tied up in being a fighter? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's huge. But I've already made that transition, that I know that I'm a father, that I am a human being that has other attributes that to contribute to besides just fighting another human being. I mean, that's
very clear though. But with some fighters, it's equally clear that this is all they have, and then that's why you see, I don't know, like Ricky Hatton and some fighters, they go off the deep end after they leave fighting because, well, what the fuck do I do now to achieve that buzz of getting in the ring?
I think it's very much of a narcissistic point of view, that I have this limelight now and I can't let it go. That's how life is. Even life itself, you're only going to have it for a blink of a fraction of a moment in all the universe of billions of years of the world and the universe has been around. Yeah. We're gonna have a blink of life and then it's over with. So you have a blink of fame. I think you have to be okay with the fact that you transition, that you're no longer gonna be. You know what I mean? It's like the girls. I see them. I'm so appreciative that I know this about my wife. My wife is still a very attractive woman, but she's in her 40s. Mm-hmm. She's very attractive for a 40-year-old. You know, she doesn't even look like it. She looks younger than her age. She dresses classy and nice. I've seen some of other girls around her age that still dress like a girl who's in their 20s.
Sure.
And it's painful to look at. And I just go, you know what I mean? Like, you know, a 25-year-old could wear that. You're not a 25-year-old.
Sure.
Please stop wearing that.
It sounds a lot like that we've said this very often on this podcast. Some people don't fulfill that part of their life, and then they just continue that part of their life until they're like in their 40s. It sounds a lot like you're someone who completes tasks, gets through things, and your wife's very similar. And if you can just complete those parts of your life and compartmentalize them back, you tend to be able to move forward.
Yeah, and you just take it for what it is. Like even now in my fighting career, I'll come back when I'm here in April and fight. I don't have the same reasons I'm going to fight that I fought last time. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to try to fight back. You know, you always go for a title. Ask me if I want to fight for a title.
Yeah.
I really don't. I realize that I'm older now. I'm farther along in my career. I'm like, you know what? Now I just want to find other big fights. You know, maybe sign with Bellator and fight Fedor. You know, mm-hmm. something where it's like, that would be something to do. You know,
fun fights like that. Like people would be really interested in that.
Right. It's like, look, I don't want to fight the next top 2 or 3 guy. He's probably going to kick my ass. You know what I mean? Like, but I have to acknowledge that that's just how it is. How am I supposed to keep up with a guy who trains every day, doesn't have to worry about his wife and kids, or doesn't have them, and now he's 28 years old, and now it's like, go kick that guy's ass. I'm like, remember that whole percentage argument I had with you? The percentages are not on my side. And I'm okay with understanding that. You know?
Do you think that realistic, like you are such a truthful person and you've got no problem clearly in being honest with yourself, do you think when you lose fights, and we talked about this to Dan Hardy, he said in a way, he got a bit of, there was some good that came out of losing because he was clear, he wasn't clouded and thinking the alpha male way of thinking of I'm going to knock everyone out and I'm going to beat everyone. Once you have that awakening of, I am beatable and I am a man, do you know, like, do you think that can be a good thing in a way?
I think it's an excellent thing. I think any time you can be raw and realistic, I think that people appreciate it. It's like having a near-death experience. Someone finds out, you have cancer. And then you find out maybe you don't. That could be a blessing, right? Because sometimes we have this, we as human beings, we're able to bullshit and hide things that scare us. So we tell us, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the idea like, I'm not going to die anytime soon. It's like, you don't really know that. You could be done tomorrow. You could die tonight in bed. Heart just stops pumping, you know. Who knows? Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, well, how did you treat your wife before you left? Or what was the last thing you said to your children? So when I walk around, again, my wife's like, you know, Jesus Christ, Frank, you know, come on. Like, I'm like, well, you know, maybe. You know, she'll like, see you tomorrow. And I'll say that all the time. Hopefully, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, stop talking like that. I'm like, but it's because I talk like that. You know what I mean?
Maybe we won't see you.
It's like, well, I really hope so.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
It does. One thing that sort of occurred to me, you've broken people's arms in their careers. How do you feel about that? Because, you know,
it's always their fault.
Yeah. Like, is that how you deal with that?
Well, I mean, I'm just being truthful with it too.
Yeah. But
they've always had the opportunities to tap, and if it breaks, it's like it'd be like me tackling you and getting in a football game with a legal move. You fall down and you get a concussion.
Yeah. So you don't feel I'm not saying you should, but you don't feel a sense of responsibility for that.
No.
Yeah.
You know how fighting works, though, right?
Yeah.
It'd be the equivalent of me. You know, if you go and you kick above your head and you try to do like what do they call it, like the bicycle kick?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And you land and break your clavicle.
Yeah.
You're trying to score on me. Is it my fault? Should I have stepped out of the way so you could score, so you didn't have to try to kick that way?
No. I guess my thought was more like as a fighter yourself, you know what it's like to be defeated. Do you see those guys afterwards and talk to them, or like what's it like, or do you?
Oh, do you think like I should have maybe let them off the hook, or maybe I feel bad that.
Yeah, like what's your relationship like with them? Like, will you see them afterwards and they're like, shit, man, you broke my arm? Or like, you know.
No, okay. In fact, actually, the first guy's arm I broke really badly. Tim Sylvia, the plates in his arm. It was, a couple months later.
The one with jelly, I remember.
We were at some fights in Jersey, and we went out to a bar afterwards, and he was hitting on these girls. They were talking to him, and he's showing them a scar. And he goes, yeah, and that's the motherfucker did it to me. And I'm like, so yeah, it is
That's
what
madness.
Yeah.
These two in the bar, like, hey, I broke his arm.
Yeah. That's sort of a weird chat-up line. You're a great wingman. You're like, yeah, I broke it, but he's a great guy. Go on.
Yeah, I'm like, but he didn't tap, man. He's a fucking tough son of a bitch. I'm
So
like,
I broke it.
he wanted to keep fighting, too,
Yeah.
so.
He did, didn't he? All right, another one. Have you got any advice for your 20-year-old self, if you could?
I think it probably goes back to that regret thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure that, there's no sense of accomplishment behind fighting through pain or injury in a gym. It doesn't prove anything. If anything, it just causes you to be less of a man later on, because then you have scar tissue and injuries, and, why would you do that? In a sport where millions of dollars on the line, you would never let during practice your star striker, his knee might be popped. I'll just wrap it up and finish practice.
Yeah.
They would pull him.
It's insane, isn't it?
They would pull him off the pitch.
It's that bravado,
right?
though, in MMA that it isn't really there in some other sports, isn't it?
Well, I don't think the other sports make enough money and there's enough people around it that you save the athlete from himself.
But that's what's funny, isn't it? Is like it's only as soon as that value has the athlete has monetary value to someone that they start to wrap them up. Whereas actually, like, your value is more than just monetarily to someone else. You got your own body. That's what's crazy about it. Is until you are more valued monetarily, you're not treated like that.
It's kind of people, huh? In general.
Kind of, yeah. It's business, like you're saying, yeah.
Who is the wildest MMA fighter you've ever met? Is there someone who stands out as just a crazy son of a bitch?
A Hardy is crazy, not in the way that they probably mean, where he just starts talking about doing his like fucking trips to Peru and doing.
Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
He's wild in a different way.
Yeah, like in a good way, but just kind of far out.
Like
there.
spiritual.
Yeah, there's sometimes we've had some conversations where I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
but interesting guy, and he lives by what he says. So
Yeah.
But you ever met any guys who you just could not go to the bar with, who because they're just a liability? They're just
half the guys that fight.
Yeah.
I've heard a few stories. Yeah.
I don't go to bars with a lot of fighters because of that reason.
Yeah. Someone said, did any of the ring girls get tapped up by the fighters? Or how regular was that?
I should have waited a bit.
Yeah.
I am personally not responsible for any of that. So I don't
know. All right. Not Frank anyway.
Yeah, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the level of MMA outside the UFC right now? It does seem to be on the up, like massively.
Massively on the uprise. I think the UFC right now, with the new ownership, appears to be very profit orientated. And I think Lorenzo and Frank, when they had it, very much a passion for the sport. And I think you could see that. They had trained in it before they even owned the UFC. And so the new owners, I bet you they've never been on a mat. They might even know what an armbar ever even felt.
They're a media company, aren't they, basically?
Right.
Yeah.
So that being said, it's a business venture. And I think that as fans, especially the hardcore fans that are in MMA, I think they sense it, because I sense it. And so I think that that's an opportunity now for the Bellators, the ACBs, the World Series of Fighting, everybody else to take advantage of and start to grow, which is good for us, because the more competition there is of having to put on good shows, the more, it's like any product.
It's better for us.
If you only have one company who makes cars, if they make the shittiest car in the world, who gives a shit? You're going to buy that car. It's the only one in town. All of a sudden, another dealership pops up, and it's like, well, we have a better car. Well, even now, like you see with the Uber and taxi cab driver argument, I'm like, well, if Uber provides a better service, taxi cabs need to pick up the shit. Whereas before, you wanted to, before Uber came up, I've been in some cabs that I probably wouldn't put an enemy in. I mean, just stink, horrific, piece of shit.
Uncomfortable.
The driver doesn't give a shit either. He don't like you, and it makes it very apparent.
They had a racket, basically.
It was a racket. You couldn't go anywhere. But now it's like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and Uber this. And it's like, oh, okay, let's start going back and forth.
That is interesting, though, yeah. It's the same in fighting now.
Yeah. So now, for the fighters, it'll be good, because now it's like, well, in the past, UFC can be like, well, I'm going to give you X amount of money. I don't want that. Who are you going to go to?
Yeah.
Where now it's like, well, ACB or Bellator, now we're going to have people arguing, so quality of fighting, the money the fighters will make will go up.
Someone's saying, right before you make that walk, you're about to fight, how are you feeling? Because from what I remember, someone once said about you in an interview that you are quite chilled out before you go out there. Is that true?
Yeah. I'm nervous in the locker room when I hear all the music. But it's funny. It's the walk makes me the most nervous because it's a bunch of people, and I tell people that I'm like, if I just told you had to walk, imagine a fight, 10,000 people there. I'm going to give you a microphone. You have to go up there and recite a poem. How fucking nervous is the average person going to be? You're going to come out, we're going to scream for 2 minutes, clear the room. Okay, say the poem.
Yeah.
No one's hitting you in the face. Whole room's watching you. Make sure you don't stutter a word. Don't forget something. There's going to be a certain apprehension that almost every human being has. So that to me is the walkout. Once we close the cage door and I can look over and see somebody, that I've done 1,000 times. Walking in front of 10,000 people, well, I've done it, 28 times now in the UFC. Still not a ton of practice.
Yeah. What's it like to look across and see that guy? Like, have you ever looked across and thought, fuck, that guy's big?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Okay. But then you just clear up on the moment, but I've done that thousands upon thousands of times where I've been in the gym training, and then the other guy, we're going to fight each other, so I'm looking across at you.
Yeah.
You know how we talked about probability earlier on? Was there ever a moment where you looked across the cage and thought, 100% got this guy, he's mine?
No.
And you were right? Or never even felt like that?
Never have I ever felt like I got this.
I mean, we've seen that backfire on people before. The one that springs to mind for me is when Bisping won the title off of Rockhold. Rockhold just looked so confident and relaxed. He looked like he was walking the dog. It isn't a good mind state to be in.
No, and he got caught. I mean, I think if him and Bisping fought 10 times, I bet on Rockhold every time. You know what I mean? I just think that was the fight that because of his, cockiness caused him to get caught. I think if they were to rematch, I think that Bisping loses.
All right, McGregor versus Mayweather. I know you've mentioned before on your podcast, because I do listen, that you feel like there's going to be a huge discrepancy in ability. You yourself were one of the best boxers in MMA in the heavyweight division. How did you feel you did when you sparred against boxers, and how far do you think you were from their level?
Oh, I mean, I sparred with guys at Marco Huck, Bermain Stavern quite a few times. They're better at boxing than you are, no matter how good but that's their sport. That's all they have to practice. There's no way that, in a boxing match, right now, this is what I tried to break down to everybody. Conor McGregor is the least accomplished and probably the least skilled boxer that Mayweather has ever faced in 49 fights. And everybody goes, well, Mayweather's knocking anybody out. Since 2007, someone said. Well, because he also just, very much a defensive mastermind. Like, well, he has a hard time with southpaws. Manny Pacquiao is a southpaw, and he completely made him look silly. So silly that people thought, oh, Manny shouldn't fight anymore. Manny has fought since then and looked very good. Then everybody's like, well, if he comes after him, maybe he hit him. If Arturo Gatti was still alive, and you told me there was a fight between Arturo Gatti and a boxing match with Conor McGregor, and you said, who's going to win? I'm like, in 3 rounds, Arturo Gatti is going to completely take his head off. If Conor can make it past the 3rd round, I would be shocked. I'd be like, whoa, really? You made it that far? Wow, good for you. Moral victory. He got knocked out in the 4th, though.
Yeah.
And so Arturo Gatti fought Mayweather, and Mayweather stopped him. Didn't just beat him on points. And so, I just besides anybody telling me that, well, he could catch him with a shot, you're right. The last 49 guys that fought Mayweather could catch him with a shot. And if Mayweather wins or McGregor wins, that's the only way it could happen. And it's like, well, I could go right now and kick a ball down at whoever your guys' best goalie is. There's a chance that he dives the wrong way and I put the ball in the goal. Are you willing to bet on it?
Not personally.
I mean, personally, having heard your manifesto, I bet on you today.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other people you wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, if I did it 1,000 times, maybe one slips through.
Yeah.
So that's like the fight with, McGregor. He's not going to win a round and just come out there and hold his own. And the other thing, too, that is just fighting-wise, McGregor's jab is okay. He doesn't throw, his hooks, he throws a right uppercut off the lead side. He has his left hand set up. Mayweather has other tools with his jab and his hook that, come on, he out-jabbed Canelo.
Yeah.
beat up Canelo. Canelo and Mayweather, McGregor. Do you think McGregor could last with Canelo? Not even beat him and last.
I think the only thing that helps McGregor in this fight to potentially gain credit, respect, and come out looking like a moral victory is the fact that this stylistic matchup is probably the best for him out of the top level boxers. So like, if you put McGregor in there with Triple G, I think that would be a real, like, we'd be having a funeral. Do you know what I mean? It would be awful. Whereas because of the lack of power from Mayweather, despite massive skill discrepancy, we might be able to see McGregor show a bit of heart and last quite a long time.
The only way McGregor makes it a decision loss is if Mayweather decides to let him. Because even that, Mayweather, you're right, maybe power-wise doesn't knock him out in the first 3 rounds, but Conor naturally is not a aerobic athlete. He has very explosiveness, but if you watch the 3rd round of the Nate Diaz fight, Nate Diaz had him gassed. I mean, Conor was backtracking, legs locked, running from Nate while Nate's pointing and laughing, and Conor's like, ready
Do you
to
think the
spit
5 rounds might, but with the difference of minutes per round, that might help Conor? Or do you think 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it doesn't really matter?
No, I think he's going to get tired. You know what I mean? And I think in the 4th, 5th round, he's going to hit the wall. And, and then Mayweather, when he senses, if Mayweather wants to take him out, 6th, 7th, 8th round, he's going to start doing this. And Mayweather, accumulation of punches.
It's an interesting, though, because McGregor definitely did come back in the Nate fight, to be fair. Nate is a much bigger, harder hitter, in my opinion, than Mayweather.
Not at all.
You'd say Mayweather's a harder puncher than Nate Diaz?
Yeah.
But despite the heavyweight, the weight difference?
Well, I mean, Nate is a 155-pound fighter. It's not a welterweight.
But he's a big 155, whereas Mayweather is a very small 155.
Technique, explosion, speed. I don't think Nate. No, I mean, right now, if we said, "Hey, let's put them both on pads," who can generate the most power? No way.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Mayweather, there's interesting. I mean, there's also
glove size as well as a difference, though.
That's going to help, but let's also put it this way: it's not a real fight. It's an exhibition fight.
No, and really, I didn't think it would happen because I didn't think that Dana and the UFC would relinquish control. And basically, they did. They Showtime. This is their fight with with Mayweather. They have
Conor's being rented, I guess.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting though because of the exhibition nature of it that you wonder how mentally both those fighters approach that.
I don't know. Good question.
I mean, I'm not saying because I'm not particularly turned on by it, but it's certainly there's an interesting side.
If you were in Conor McGregor's corner, you say he's got a short gas tank. The way Mayweather seems to operate in a boxing match is like a computer. He sort of downloads the data that he's reading and then uses that to figure an equation out in order to beat you.
Problem solver.
The longer exactly the way you operate yourself. Obviously, we took different sports, but he uses the same sort of process. To me, it seems like the longer you give Mayweather, the easier he finds the way to beat you. Conor McGregor hasn't got the biggest gas tank, and I know it is an amateur way of looking at it, and it's a massive risk, but do you think the best possible route for McGregor is to come out and go leather him and try and go for it first round and just throw every wild punch? Because Michael Bisping was talking about this recently, and he said sometimes when I fight someone who isn't as skilled as me, because they try things that I wouldn't usually see when I'm fighting top-level kickboxers and boxers, it sometimes catches us off guard and I'm not expecting it.
Are you saying an amateur may often upstage a professional?
Yeah. Do you think that might be a better way
I think it's the best course. Plus, too, then at least it gives a little bit of a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically for Instagram, isn't it? That's all we want. We want a nice Instagram minute.
30 seconds of McGregor.
I'm not staying up late for that shit. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm starting to believe that is the best chance for McGregor is to come out and go wild.
Round, even the chance of a punch being landed, a lucky shot, goes out the window.
So you of the school of thought that he'll barely land a punch for as long until Mayweather is like, all right, it's over.
Yeah.
One thing I was quite interested that you mentioned earlier. First of all, you said you're sort of guiding your kids into fight.
And going back to what you say, Conor fought a high-paced fight the first time he fought Nate. He went out. If you watch the punch count put right, he gassed. He had to shoot on Nate because he started getting worked and punched and outboxed by Nate Diaz. So we can argue about who hits harder. But there's no stretch of the imagination that you think that Nate can box anywhere near the world that Mayweather boxes.
Not at all. In the first fight.
So that's why, and then Conor said it. So he felt it. He's all, fuck. His energy was more efficient than I am. Since that fight, if you watch Conor, he's slowed down drastically. He goes way more methodical, going, I realize now that I get tired.
He walked out with the belief that I'm going to walk through Nate Diaz, and he massively underestimated his chin. And actually, when you watch back that fight, which I've watched it a few times, McGregor's punching accuracy was really poor in that fight. He was way off on a lot of shots. In the second fight, he was connecting a lot
and fighting at a much lower pace.
Oh yeah. He is a puncher, a power puncher.
But that's quite interesting in itself, because obviously I think part of the reason people get excited about this fight is because they've seen Conor McGregor as an adaptable fighter, someone who can learn new skills and those sort of things in order to beat a Nate Diaz or something like that.
The only reason why this is an exciting fight is because you have the greatest promoter that ever lived in all of combat sports, Conor McGregor.
And that is actually my point, is that actually it's been marketed that way.
Yeah. It's all marketing. And honestly, the fight goes Mayweather wins or Conor lands a lucky shot. There's no other way that goes. And as far as quality of boxing match, you're not going to see a quality fight.
So as a fighter yourself, how much do you think was inherent to your fighting, and how much of it do you think did you ever think, I'm slow, I've got to work on that, or like, wow, I need to be better aerobically and then work on that? Or do you think you just level out as a fighter and you realize I can't go any quicker, or I can't, I'm weak here, I just have to embrace that? Well,
I think it's a combination of the two. There's always a little bit of adjustment and always improvement you can make in areas. But a lot of things are birthright. Like, some guys, their aerobic capacity, there's a limitation. Just like there's a limitation to how strong you can get. Now, no matter how hard you train, you're probably never going to be stronger than Brian, right?
We'll see about that.
Right? But I mean, it's just at birth, you guys had different genetics.
Yeah.
And so people can see strength and power. Sometimes they don't see aerobic capacity, flexibility. There's so many things that are kind of a birthright. Not that you can't improve them, but you can't go like a 120-pound weakling and think you're going to win the world's strongest man competition. Yeah. If you graduated high school at 120 pounds, you're never going to win the world's strongest man.
Here's an interesting question. Athletically speaking, you've dealt with boxers and you are one of the best athletes yourself in the heavyweight division. Who do you think the better athlete is out of Mayweather and McGregor?
I really don't know that. I think they're pretty close. I mean, I think McGregor is one
I can't actually imagine Mayweather swinging his legs around and doing the kind of kicks that McGregor does.
McGregor might be an overall better, I guess also too, that depends on the sport. I think that if we were to play soccer, I'd pick Mayweather. Because I knew that
McGregor's Irish, though.
But he can also run for 90 minutes.
Okay,
McGregor can't run for 90 minutes.
Do you think the age...
If we played American football, then I probably would pick Conor, because I'm like, he's more explosive, a little taller, the longer arms.
Depends on which position he's playing, though, in American football, doesn't it? Yeah. I'd be interested to see that as a series.
Do you think the age will play any impact at all on Mayweather? Because he never got touched. He's not a
he doesn't have miles on him. No, so I don't think so.
Where did you play your American football? So you're saying you played American football in high school?
Yeah,
did you
play? Level.
But and so what position did you play when you were American football?
Defensive end and linebacker, and then I played fullback.
Okay, interesting. So and you were never tempted to go down that route?
Oh, I was, but then remember we were talking about how I have a very defiant personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came and bite me back in the ass.
Right. Yeah. But you could, because you're built like you're built like an NFL player. You could fuck some people up if you were in that, and you can make a lot more money that way.
Yeah,
I mean, it's too late to go back now, but.
No, I'm just I'm asking because
it's trying to sell him a career choice.
I still make probably more money than 90% of the NFL.
Yeah.
There's obviously
you break into that top few percent.
The Tom Brady's and stuff of the world, make an ungodly amount of money.
The heavyweights do well in the UFC though, by comparison.
But I think the average pay in the NFL is like $500,000.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Not everybody's making millions.
Not the multi-millions, but yeah, I mean, suppose either way, you're still making a very reasonable living to be an athlete. Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah.
And that, but
next, I've got another question.
Can I just ask? There's just one while it's in my head. You were talking about making your kids interested in, or transitioning your kids into fighting as well, and sort of how you inherited it from your dad. Yeah.
To learn to do martial arts, it's like being a musician. You can want your kids to study music.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you want them to go ahead and quit high school to join a band.
Yeah.
So I don't want my kids to fight professionally, but they're going to train and have a certain level of proficiency so that they have all the things that it comes with being a good martial artist.
And so what's that like as a father? Because obviously you got it off your dad, and there's a certain level of pleasure you can see when you talk about that. Is it the same for you as dad?
Yeah, very much so, because I see that there's things to be gained from being a good martial artist or aspiring down that path, that it makes you a better person.
And do you think your kids Do you think your kids look up to you as a fighter? And do you think they know about you as a fighter?
No, they do. But I get uncomfortable too much when we talk about it. Like, my son plays the video game.
Yeah.
There's a joke in my household. If you want Frank to leave the room, turn the video game on.
Right.
Boom, I'm out.
Why?
I don't watch myself too much. I don't like it.
Okay.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there's a certain vanity to it that I don't naturally have. I don't naturally possess.
It's a bit like an actor in a movie almost?
Maybe, I guess.
Okay.
And so when I see it, it just makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
You know, because then everybody else is like, oh, this isn't real. You know what I mean? I gotta go.
Is it also is there also an element that like it's not really you, but it's like an image of you up on the screen? Like you're not, that's not really you, is it?
I don't know, it's still weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And do you think you get pissed off if you saw one of your kids fighting with you and not doing the moves they were supposed to?
No.
Have you noticed a lot of similarities between your kids and yourself? Like, in martial arts particularly, do you ever see them do a move and think, oh, he's got it?
That's my kick.
He's got it.
Yeah. And then vice versa, though. I don't really put that much pressure on them because I see too many parents who try to live through their children.
Oh, God, it's not worse than that, is there?
And so I don't need my son or my daughter to do how I did things. I do it how you do it. You know, so I guess it's also why I don't really pick and push the, like, you know, watch this video, look how I did this. No, not at all.
Be their own person.
No. In fact, if anything, the only time I usually go to my videos or if I go to my fights is usually always off of failure. And then I tell them how I was thinking after the failure and what resolution I came to afterwards. I don't think I've ever showed my children a successful, see, hey, look how I armbarred that guy.
I was going to say, yeah.
What's there to learn from that?
Okay.
But I can teach them, like, you see how he hit me? This is what I did wrong. This is what I changed in practice. And then when I came back, it didn't work either because I assumed this. This is what led me to that assumption. This is how I came through this. And now I can, you know, blah, 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 you know.
That's what's quite interesting because I was brought up in a household, and most people know this in the comments anyway, like where violence was, like that wasn't really a thing that's in my family. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, well, don't watch any fighting altogether because we don't agree with that. Do you know what I mean? And obviously since I've come out into the world, like things change. But like your approach is the complete opposite of that, which is really interesting.
What's a part of life? You adjust with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but do you never felt, and I'm not saying you should feel uncomfortable, but you never felt uncomfortable with your kids watching you in a fight. There was never anything sort of.
No, because it's a sporting event that I select with somebody else. There's no hatred. I'm not trying to hurt somebody or take anything from them. But I mean, I'm very open and realistic about what life is about. Just because you don't want to talk about it with your children, just because I don't put the television on, doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't mean when they go to school, they're not dealing with people that also know that it exists.
How do you tell them to deal with that? That must be interesting as a parent approaching that. About sort of your dad's a fighter, or, you know, like your dad couldn't.
We just, you know, every time they have a problem that comes up, if they come home, then, you know, my biggest way is I put them in private school. That helps.
Okay.
But, you know, we face all problems. We keep open and honesty. But, like, I'm not just that way with violence. I'm that way with sexuality. All my kids know that to have a baby, two adults have to have sex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't sit there and tell them there's a stork that comes, there's no make-believe. Now, obviously, I'm less graphic with their age that as we go up, I mean, sometimes I even make jokes when they're young. Like, my 8-year-old, I use the word mating.
Sure.
You know, like, oh, you know, the door's shut, I can't come in. Like, no, you guys go over there and play. Why? I tell my children I'm having alone time with mommy.
Yeah.
And other parents are like, you just tell your children? I'm all, yeah, that a married couple has to have sex together. Like, you don't tell your children that that's what you guys do? I mean, I'm not explaining what positions I'm putting.
He's not calling it like he does on commentary.
Yeah.
I'm not being overly descriptive about it, but there are times where my children have to know that I would like to be with their mother because I love her, and this is what two loving individuals do.
I'm of the same belief. It's better to spoon feed the truth gradually, and obviously
it's age appropriate.
Yeah,
you know?
but rather than to create bullshit stories and then later have to tell your kids, oh, you know everything I've told you for the last 10 years, bullshit.
Actually we were just
I've been lying
fucking
to you the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Whereas at least then they can look back and say, well, he was telling me the truth, just not the whole entire story.
Santa though.
Yeah, I mean Santa's. They
believe in Santa.
Santa's all right.
No, you don't tell them about Santa.
No, I mean they have Santa, but they never assumed that it was a real guy.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I could just hear the way they talk, and you know, and it's funny because my children, like, I'm waiting for the parents to be upset with my kids because, you know,
they're the truthful ones.
Yes.
They're the ones that know, sort of spreading it. Okay.
Yeah, they're like, oh fuck, Mir's kids. They know it's really, but I want to do that because I don't want false information out.
Yeah.
And if someone tells my kids something crazy, I want them to feel very comfortable coming to mom and dad to go, hey, I heard this, and I'm like, okay, well, hold on, you know, time to break out the iPad. Okay, no, this is what is going on, and. You know, the only time it ever became a little awkward, I could feel the tension from other parents, was my daughter was in a play, I think she was 9 years old, 8, and the in the scene was little orphan Annie, and there's a scene where they all have to pray, right? My kids don't know what
pray,
that means.
yeah.
So I'm very open. If we talk about different religions in the household, but my kids view religion pretty much kind of like how I do. That when someone talks about Zeus or Jesus or Muhammad, it's all kind of in the same world. You know what I mean? We're respectful of other people's. Like they know now that when I realized I had to address that issue. Like, hey, when we go to other people's homes, if they want to pray, we're going to be very quiet, let them. And so I had to explain to them, what religion was. But that was the first time I realized, oh, shit, I'm going to have to start explaining this to my kids. Because not that I avoided it, it's just because I don't pray in my household.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and other kids go, do this. And, my daughter is just like, well, why? So hold on. So when you put your hands together, God hears you. What if your hands are? She goes, what if I did this?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like, only my kid's gonna start bringing that up. You're like, does this affect the frequency now?
That's so funny you say that.
Just like you then.
I once got stood up in assembly because the teacher said, why do we put our hands together when we pray? And I was like, it's a little aerial, isn't it? Like God can hear you if you do that. And she was like, stand up and get out. She thought I was taking a piss, but I was like, no, that's the only reason. She was like, it's to stop little hands fiddling. And I was like, that's the worst way to explain that to a kid. Like, that's fucking
we've got
miserable.
someone asking, have you got a prediction for Jones versus Cormier?
Jones.
Yeah. Do you don't think the layoff or anything could? I didn't think Cormier looked that great in his last fight either, really.
Yeah, and I mean, Jones is younger, Cormier is older. Physical attribute-wise, height-wise. I mean, and then Daniel Cormier's greatest strength is wrestling. If right now you told me they had to do a wrestling match, I'm betting on Jones.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, then you add in that, okay, now they can strike, knee, kick, and on top of that, Cormier just, you know what I mean? Like, he just can't compete with Jones. I think Cormier I think he's the second best fighter in the world at 205. And he just happened to be born during the time that the very best fighter at 205 is around.
Yeah. Gustafsson looked pretty good in his last fight. I'm hopeful that we can see a Jones-Gustafsson
That one
2.
I'd be interested in watching.
I'd like to see
I'm not as quick just to go ahead and go, oh, Jones. I'm like, well, this might be interesting.
Because Jones, when he fought OSP, didn't look as good as he used to.
I think he fought to the occasion.
Yeah.
I think if OSP would have endangered him a little bit,
he might have brought out.
We would have seen him rise up. But, I mean, I've seen Jones do that in the gym, spar to the level of who he's fighting.
Interesting.
Greatest of all time, is there anyone that stands out in your mind?
Not yet. There's so many guys that are really good. I mean, we can go up the weight classes, everything from, Demetrius Johnson obviously is just a dynamo. But then, Frankie Edgar, I've always been a huge fan of his abilities.
I think he's the most underrated fighter of all time.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, even now when he just fought the up-and-coming Ari Rodriguez. Everybody, he derailed the hype train.
I mean, he smashed him, didn't he? Is there any fighter that you wanted to fight but never did yet?
Fedor.
I'd love to see that fight.
Wow.
Hopefully it happens. Who did you look up to when you were younger?
Fight-wise?
Is there any fighter? Yeah.
Nogueira was probably when I was 19, 20. Big time watched his fights.
Mm-hmm.
Any fights that you won against other fighters, but then afterwards you thought, fucking hell, like, he was tough as fuck. Like, you felt like almost lucky to get out with the win. Like
I remember the Mirko Krokop fight was very difficult. Just he's very elusive and very hard to get a hold of. And
that was one of the few fights that you had where people were a bit not like they weren't really blown away by it, because it was like you cancelled each other out a little bit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You've already said you're going to return, so that's already been answered. You're thinking April for that, yeah? Is there a favourite fight that you had where you look back on and think that was the one I enjoyed the most?
The second Nogueira fight, because it showed that I had to overcome adversity. I got hit early in the fight. He almost turned it around and won. He put me at the time one of his better submission holds, which is the guillotine, and I was able to fight my way through.
When you were rolling around, it was amazing. How do you feel about life generally right now?
Good. I wish I could travel a little bit less, stay at home more. Yeah. I'm missing a lot of things with the wife and kids because of a lot of international travel with the ACB. But I'm like any man. I have to provide for my family, so sacrifices will be made.
I mean, last question, mate, is how would you like to be remembered?
As just somebody that was mortal like everybody else. That just was very much of a scientific approach to fighting and to life.
All right, mate. Thanks very much for coming on, pal. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Legend. Appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much.
If you want to know more about Frank Mir, I'll put all of his links in the description below, and his podcast, Phone Booth Fighting. Also, those ACB tickets, the link for that will be in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you have, hit the like button. Stay subscribed to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.